let's talk about the film within the film.
Oh, yes!
You know the one.
Oh, I do. Angels Without Souls?
Angels with Filthy Souls.
Oh, that's what it is.
Ty's over here looking at his phone for his notes, and he's not even leading this one. Like, you just have to respond.
I know. I have to make sure I've got my stuff together. Look what you did, you filthy animal. No, I'm mixing quotes.
Now you're mixing
I know.
it up.
See, that's why I have to have my stuff together.
Oh.
Otherwise, that's going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to get lambasted if we don't get these quotes right.
I mean, this is a critical darling. I don't know if that's true. I think it's just a cult favorite.
Yeah. This is, high stakes episode today. Are you going to drink tea this whole time?
No, I'm just taking a quick silent sips.
They're not
Nobody
silent.
can hear it.
They can.
No.
I can hear you.
Okay, everyone be completely quiet. Let's see if you can hear this. The biggest thing was my gulp. I was like, oh, come on, please. It's like...
It'd be one thing if you were like battling flu or like a sore throat.
No, I feel great.
Like we have many times
100%.
doing this. Sometimes we have been very ill.
Yeah.
And we've powered through vocally, but you're in tip-top performance right now. So
Yep.
I don't know why you brought tea in here.
I don't know. It just felt right. I wanted to be warm.
It's a little cozy day.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case you didn't know what you clicked on, Ty, what movie are we going to review today?
We are going to review the John Hughes, right?
Yeah.
John Hughes.
Writer John Hughes.
Classic Disney Plus owning. So you can go stream it on Disney Plus whenever you want.
Yeah, currently under Disney Plus.
Macaulay Culkin breakout Home Alone 1.
Yeah, 1990.
We were 3 years old.
I don't know that I saw this at 3. Obviously, I didn't see this. When did you see this film?
Probably
first?
around the age he is in the movie. Like, he's in second grade, I think is what we figured out. I was maybe in first grade, but probably not before that.
Yeah. Do you remember where? Was it at home? Was it at a friend's house?
I couldn't tell you anything. Back then, I was
so
just thinking
young.
about Power Rangers. I really didn't know about anything else in the world. I do think that he's a little mouthy in this movie.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that.
I wonder if my parents maybe held off a little bit if they saw it before I did. And they're like, yeah, we're going to hold this from Ty because this is a little mouthy guy. I want to be careful about this.
Yeah, the sass and then like the parenting and the power struggles that ensue. It's like, ooh, that hits on just as an adult now who knows better. It's like, oh yeah, that's not how I would handle that situation.
For sure.
And that's not how you would talk to me.
Definitely not. Yep. Yeah.
I think he tells his mom to shut up at
He
one
does
point.
tell her to shut up.
Yeah.
He said, I'm trying to think of something else he says. He doesn't tell her to get bent or anything like that, but he says something kind of like that in a more kiddie way.
Yeah, kind of like a Bart Simpson kind of a thing.
Very
like,
much.
Eat my shorts type of thing.
Yep.
Just like, whoa.
Yeah, you don't get to talk to me like that. You're a freaking mom.
Love this movie, though. Anyways, back to it. So first memories, can't really remember, somewhere around that time.
Yeah. Yep. I remember Home Alone 2 more.
Yeah.
Like, I saw Home Alone 2 probably in the theaters. If not, it was right when it came out. Like, I was an early adopter of Home Alone 2. My best friend Mike watched this movie constantly.
Home Alone 1?
Home Alone 2.
Oh, okay.
He had the walkie-talkie thing that he has where he can change his voice.
Talk Boy? Is that
Talk
what it's
Boy,
called?
yeah.
Yeah.
He had one of those Talk Boys, and we'd play with it all the time. And
of course.
he'd watch Home Alone 2 almost on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
He's like me with Killer Clowns and Three Ninjas.
I remember 2 just as much as I remember 1.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my likely first encounter with this was probably at my mom's house, my grandma's house. It was probably on for my older cousins. They were watching it, and I'm sure I caught glimpses of it because they were all probably laughing and enjoying it. And so as like a little kid running around, getting into trouble, I probably like, oh, maybe I'll stop running for 2 seconds and watch it, and then go back to running, around when that house was so crowded and there's no need to run anywhere.
I remember thinking this movie was boring.
Oh.
Like, well, not all of it, but I remember loving the home invasion part.
Yeah.
But some of the moments around that,
Yeah, the
I remember
workout.
as a kid just being like, this is kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of funny now because it's not boring. But
No.
I think I was just like, nah, I'm not entertained.
Yeah.
Where's
yeah.
Baby's Day Out? Do you remember that movie?
I do.
Like, that would be the kind of entertainment I was looking for. I was like, come on. Where's the gorillas? Come on, we need more action.
Up the ante here.
Up
Come
the
on.
ante.
So, some taglines from this film. First one, holy cow.
Awesome.
That's all it says. Holy
Yep.
cow. Next one, bring home the laughter this holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Basic here. A family comedy without the family.
Ooh, I like that one.
That one's a little clever.
That one makes sense.
Yeah. And last one. When Kevin's family left for vacation, they forgot one minor detail. Kevin, but don't worry, he cooks, he cleans, he kicks some butt.
I like it all the way. They should just cut it off at Kevin. They forgot one thing. Kevin.
Yeah.
I think that's funny enough.
Yeah, that we didn't need anything,
Nope.
any more explanation.
Yep.
Yeah, leave us wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
The
For
hook.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. So you already hinted at this, but John Hughes is very involved in this. He was the writer of this.
And if people don't know
script.
John Hughes, talking about like 16 Candles,
Yes.
Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, the 80s master, the icon.
The 80s master, right. Hughes had actually already worked as well with Macaulay Culkin in Uncle Buck.
Oh, I didn't know
For
he
those who
did
know
Uncle
that.
Buck.
He did Uncle Buck as well.
And Uncle Buck, for you Uncle Bucky fans out there, is on our Summers Off list.
It is on the list. I
Yep.
have not seen enough of it to see the whole movie, so
Yep.
we're going to check it
When
out.
I talk about
someday.
huge pancakes, she doesn't even know what I'm talking about. So buckle up, get ready.
So John Hughes came up with that idea after going on a trip with his family to Europe because he's obviously very
Did they go
wealthy
to
at
France?
this point. I don't know. It
Okay.
says Europe, so honestly, I think it was multiple places.
Can we take a moment and talk about how that family's French trip, we went on a French trip when we turned 30
Yeah.
and had the best time.
Yeah.
4 days in France, 4 days in England. It was just the best trip ever.
Yeah.
That family lost their entire French trip because of Kevin. And I'll be honest, I would be so mad. Yeah, it was memorable. Yeah, I know it sucks that we left Kevin. But there'd be part of me that'd be like, he's going to be freaking fine, Mom. Get the cops over there. Let's just enjoy our time in France.
That's what you would do?
I kept thinking
You would
of,
keep going?
whenever they show the family being miserable in France, I was like, you are in France around Christmas. Enjoy yourselves. This is the best time of your lives.
You couldn't do that, though,
Forget
if your
about
little
Kevin.
brother was home.
Kevin's fine.
We don't
He's
know.
in second grade. He's not a 4-year-old. He's in second grade. Get the cops over there. Have Aunt Petunia check in on him. He'll be fine.
Well, what I'll say is I think that this family might be a tish jaded. You know, going
Yeah,
on
that's
a,
true.
you know,
It's
for
probably
you
their
and
eighth
me,
time in France.
going over to France and Europe was a big deal. And, you know, we save our pennies and we're
Yep.
excited and it's very much a trip. I didn't get the gist that was really high on, you know, Fuller's list.
Sure. Yep.
Places to see.
Yeah.
Poor Fuller. I don't want to pull him under.
Yeah,
he seems
because
very happy.
to be honest, Fuller's family is, I don't think, as well off as the
No.
McAllisters.
Yeah. So we had to. Okay, we're gonna jump around here. I'll get back to
Sure.
like who did what and whatever. But yeah, the families. It needs breaking down a bit. I don't know
We've
about you
looked
guys.
at pictures.
It was complicated to me. I thought, how many brothers and sisters does Kevin have?
Mm-hmm.
Audience, any guesses?
Am I the audience?
You could be audience
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
we were like letting them yell at their car radios.
Yeah, we are. Okay,
Um,
and now Ty, give them what
there
you think
are
is
5 kids.
5 kids.
There
in
are
Kevin's
5
family.
stockings in between the
Mhm.
2 parental stockings.
Yeah. Yep. He has 2 brothers.
Uh-huh.
And 2 sisters.
Yep.
Yep. So there's 3 boys and 2 girls in the McAllister
One thing that
family.
throws it off is all their hair colors are different. So listen to this.
Yeah, that's
Buzz has brown hair. The sassy older sister has brown hair. The sister who calls him Léon Compotant, it has blonde hair. Macaulay has blonde hair. And then his other brother is in Pete and Pete and has red hair.
Yeah.
So 1 redheaded kid, 2 brown-haired kids, 2 blonde-haired kids. It makes it hard to tell who the family is. And then his actual brother in real life plays Fuller, who's a cousin. And so it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's going
Hold
on?
on. What is this gene pool? And then we'll just call it Fuller's family because that's easiest to remember. So Fuller, and he has his dad. I'm pulling up my pictures here. Frank and Leslie are
Frank
his
is
mom.
an asshole.
Yeah, Frank's the guy, the famous
Look what
quote.
you did, you little jerk.
Yeah, he's that guy. They also have 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a bunch of breeders.
Yep,
this
for sure.
family here.
For sure.
5, it looks like, I'm like trying to figure out, it looks like 4... No. 3 girls and 2 boys. Rod looked a little feminine in this picture. So
yeah, I only know Fuller and his little sister who like look at the cop like they're like
with the big glasses.
Yep.
So funny.
And then the one who talks to Buzz early in the movie
That's
who
Rod.
has glasses.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then I can't picture anybody else. But there's a girl who does the head count.
Mm-hmm.
And you pointed out, you're like, she's not one of the families.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what?
Yes.
There's another girl, a part of another family?
There is, you guys.
She's the hot one. She's got dark hair. She's taller.
I mean, she's like 8. Yeah, she's in college. Yeah, there is a third family here. Get this. All of this like eluded me until now.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
realize.
we're doing the breakdown.
Right. Like,
this is what
why are
you
we
tune
going?
in for. I want to hear about the Home Alone fams.
Because I know you've been wondering too.
And we're here to break it down for you.
You've been thinking like, that house is so big. How many people live there? Okay, so, anywho. Also, at the home, before we go on our trip, is the other family. So, Dad's name is Peter. His other brother, Rob.
Okay, another McAllister clan.
McAllister, and his wife, Georgette, they live in France.
Yep,
and so
they're who they go visit, and they have the shrimp.
Yes.
Yep.
The point of this trip is for them to go visit the family, his brother and family over in France, while also taking Rob's daughter, who is a student at Northwestern.
Oh, in Illinois. Okay, because they're in
Illinois,
Chicago.
yeah,
Yep.
to go over to France to see her family. So there she is, the oldest niece, and they're going to take her with them to go over back home, I guess, to France.
Was there a line about that? Was there any allusion to that?
Yes, there was, but you got to piece it together. So at the very beginning, when the cop who's undercover as our criminal,
Joe
Harry,
Pesci.
Yep, Joe Pesci is undercover as a cop and kind of getting the lay of the land. He's asking people, okay, where are your friends, or where are your mom and dad? Where are you from? Are you the person of this house? And so she says, no, my parents are in France. And then I think there's one part where the dad might be on the phone or something, saying like, hey, we're gonna go visit my brother, such and such, or
Okay.
yeah, so it's very piecemeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's in there if you're listening close enough, but like I had to do the research to figure this out to make it very clear, like why are we here and who are these people?
This movie is like Shakespeare. It's best if you have the script in front of you while the video's playing, so you can kind of follow along and then like push pause and really decipher what was that just happened.
Yes. So now that we have our cast, right? That's and that's not even like the most important cast. That's the family.
You see these folks
who's in
just
it for
a little bit.
Yeah, 20 minutes of the movie. But phew, got that out of the way. I was wondering, hey, did you ever wonder what the mom and dad do for a living?
Yeah, they both look like working professionals.
Yes.
But I have no idea. I just assume it's probably in finance, or the mom's the lawyer. And dad's a finance guy.
Dad is some sort of a finance guy.
Okay, so that's kind of right.
Day traders, maybe.
Day trader. Okay.
I like how they try to call that neighborhood upper middle class. It's like, oh no.
Well, the neighborhood is really nice, but like maybe you could argue that the neighborhood's upper middle class.
Some homes,
but they are not upper middle class.
No.
They are middle upper class, I would say. Not even lower upper class.
I would just say
their house
upper class
is huge.
Yeah.
And they're in Chicago. Their house is huge.
Yeah, it's easy to say. Y'all are rich.
You guys are rich.
Don't pretend.
You are not. Yeah, you do not muddy yourselves with the commoners, the plebes.
The plebes. There are some hints as to what the mom does. Only because when we think about the different maybe tools that Kevin has access to, like maybe when he's setting up one of my favorite scenes, there's like a holiday scene, and
I was
maybe
thinking of the spatula, like he puts the spatula and he shoots those little baseball guys.
Yes, there is a spatula in the house. You're right, but close.
She owns Little Nero's Pizzeria.
Nope.
Hey, by the way, I know we're getting off track, but Little Nero's, did you see what their tagline is?
No, what was it?
We don't fiddle around.
Hilarious.
History joke. Nero watching Rome burn, fiddling on his rooftop, which they actually think is not true. They think his opponents made that up.
Oh,
and
sure.
the whole idea that Nero set fire to Rome so then he could rebuild it in his own image, they also say is probably not true. He could build enough stuff of it in his own image, so he didn't need to do that.
Oh.
It didn't behoove him to do that. So, made up by his enemies.
I love it.
Yep.
And that's why you listen in.
Yep.
History nuggets with Ty. No. So
What does she do?
So think about one of my favorite scenes, which is when he has all of the characters who are pretending to be home, and he's got the strings attached to those. I want to use the word to them. Okay, I'll just use the word. The mannequins. There's a lot of Don't you think the house has a lot of mannequins?
Wait,
Isn't that
what?
weird?
Have
you ever seen anyone who has like 3 or 4 mannequins in a house before?
Oh, so is she like a stylist?
Yeah, she's like a fashion designer.
A fashion designer?
Yeah.
Okay.
In their bedroom,
there
is a mannequin set up and like some fabric samples
Besides
and
the
stuff.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but
Which
he's
is probably
got
for
like
Buzz's
4,
room.
2 at a table. There are 2 mannequins at
Yeah.
a table, and then there's one that's like looks a lot like the aunt who's on just something doing like circles and stuff. Yeah, but there's like 3 full-size mannequins in this house, and I never thought that was weird before. Like, oh yeah, everybody has life-size dolls, don't you guys?
Duh.
Yeah, no, she's a fashion designer.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
They're really upper crust here.
Yeah, for sure. Fashion designer and the day trader.
Yeah.
And a huge house
and
in
then you
Chicago.
get that beautiful house outside Chicago.
Yep, for sure.
John Hughes.
Yeah.
So he had this idea going on a trip to Europe because he had a lot of anxiety about packing and thinking, oh, I probably forgot something. And then once there, he thought, gosh, how crazy would it be? Like, I make all these lists. What if I forgot my son?
Okay.
Writer brain. I don't know. That's how he got there. And he kept thinking, like, oh, what would he do? What would my 10-year-old son do at home if I wasn't there?
Sure.
And so then that kind of became the inception of this idea. Oh, okay, like how could I make that plausible? How could I make it believable so then that, we think like, oh, they're not horrible parents. Like this could plausibly happen if all of these things occurred in the right order, which we'll talk about whose fault it is. I'm really curious because there are so many things that go wrong for this to work out.
And
right?
I have a whole thing where I want to defend the hot older cousin. I think she needs defending.
Oh, you're defending her because she does a head count? Is that right?
And everyone's going to blame her for the rest of her life. But it's not her fault.
It's not her fault. It's not her fault. But then, so we've got this script, right? And then we need to find our director. So we find... Do you know the director of this?
No, I thought it was John.
You thought
John
it was
Hughes doesn't
directed?
really direct. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he does.
I think
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
think
know.
he does both. It was not John Hughes as the director. It was Chris Columbus.
Oh, from Goonies.
Yes, the director of writer of Goonies and Gremlins, and then also director of Mrs. Doubtfire,
Yeah.
Harry Potter 1 and 2, Adventures in Babysitting.
If you listen to the Last Crusade episode from last season, he was on it for a hot second, had some really bonkers ideas, and they said, time to go home. I think you said it. His mom had to come pick him up because he had too many sugar treats with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
I probably did.
Time to go home, Chris.
And I think this was the perfect fit for him, right? He's such a kid at heart, and I think he gets.
But he had
working
problems
with
with the kids in Goonies.
That's because
Remember?
they let him walk all over him, and he was
Yeah.
outnumbered. I think if he's just like probably like with a couple of them, he can handle it. But
Sure.
similar with anybody, like once you get in a room of like 6+ know-it-all kids, like it's hard to keep things under wraps.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
Sure.
That's a good point.
So he was initially going to work on another John Hughes film at this time, Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
John Hughes has written Christmas Vacation.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he wrote that.
That's why you tune in.
Did he write all the vacations?
I mean, I don't know if all of them, but I would assume, yeah, probably.
Okay.
I don't know why he wouldn't.
Hey, we'll probably never do Christmas Vacation. Real quick.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Christmas Vacation? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it?
It's fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's kind of in the middle for me as Christmas films. I know it's some people's favorites. Yeah, I didn't grow up with that being on all the time, though, either.
Oh, see, and I did. And I still think it's just an okay movie.
Oh, okay.
I think out of the vacations, it's kind of on the weaker end for me.
Oh,
But
okay.
people love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, it has some
we'll
definitely...
probably never do it,
yeah,
so I'm
there's-
sorry. But
Definitely a lot of iconic scenes from that. It's almost like a grown-up Home Alone in some ways, a little
Sure.
bit like your Chevy Chase, Macaulay Culkin. It's, very, very
Yeah.
silly. Very John Hughes when we think about it, I guess. But anyway, so he started to work on Christmas Vacation, but he and Chevy Chase did not get along. Like Chevy Chase was just a jerk to him. Chris Columbus says that he was really young, really green at the time, so he felt like he was like kind of like getting pushed around a lot. He's just like, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to do this one. So he goes off of Christmas vacation. John Hughes says, wait. I have another script because I'm John Hughes and I write things like in 9 days. Here's my other script. Do you want to take a look at this one? Reads Home Alone, loves the idea of it. John Hughes already is like, yep, I've got the kid. I worked with him and Uncle Buck. That's who I'm thinking of. And so then they create the whole picture around that. So
nice.
That is how we get started. So now we're getting the ball rolling. We're getting production set up. Currently, the script is under rights with Warner Brothers, has the original rights to it. We want to set the budget at, we said, well, we can make this pretty cheaply. Let's say $10 million.
Okay.
Which is actually not, I mean, this was cheap back in the day, and it's even cheaper now when we say $10 million, right?
Yep.
So that was a pretty inexpensive film to make. As we're kind of increasing production pieces, we're getting going, we're building, we're, realizing that, we kind of want to make this like a nicer movie than just like a straight-to-video type of film that's not going to do well. We might need $14 million. Warner Brothers says, no way. Shave it down to 13.1. Hughes and Columbus come back and say, we just can't. We looked at it. There's nothing else like we can cut. We think we can make a great film for this. Warner Brothers says, no, we're done. You're fired. Fire everybody.
No, shoot.
Little did Warner Brothers know that 2 weeks before this, John Hughes, who had an inkling that Warner Brothers was maybe going to pull the rug, somehow floated a script of Home Alone over to Fox.
Okay.
And said, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what the budget we would like to use. Warner Brothers is probably not going to give us that. What would you say, hypothetically, to that? All illegal. Like, you can't do that when you're under contract, apparently. So the day that Warner Brothers execs go around and start firing all the production people, right on the heels of that is another person from the production team saying, nope, never mind, keep working. You're not fired. 20th Century Fox took us up, so you're not fired. The lights don't turn off. Stay on.
He started it. He ate my pizza on purpose. He knows I ate sausage and olives and
Look
onions
what you did, you little jerk.
Yeah. I wonder how Warner Brothers feels knowing that they missed out on this film.
Especially
for,
with how much it...
like, when it came down to, like, $1.1 million was the difference, right?
Yep. And the profit margin was probably out of this world.
Oh,
multiple sequels. And so, I mean, still going. Wasn't there a new Home Alone that came out, like, kind of recently? I think they're up to, like, 5
like 2020,
movies.
They had, like, a Home Alone again or something. Like, it was a Netflix something or other. Buzz might have been in it.
Oh, really? How crazy would that be if it's about Buzz and his kid?
Well, they've thought about even doing like a Kevin and his kid piece, but then it's like the same Pesci and
Marv.
What's his face? Yeah, yep. they're still obsessed with that family.
Oh, sure.
But again, I don't think anything will come of that. But it is fun. The nostalgia's fun. I was, in the research looking at all of like the ads. Like there was a really funny Google Assistant ad maybe 2 Christmases ago with Macaulay Culkin Macaulay Culkin in it, and he was like recreating all the famous scenes from it, but using like OK Google.
Oh, okay.
With it. Did you remember seeing that?
No, I've never seen that.
It's cute. It's very fun.
I don't watch any TV. I'm very cultured. I just read books. So.
So let's get into some. Well, I'll let you choose. Do you want to do casting? Do you want to get into the set? What that was like?
Let's talk about casting.
Casting. Okay. So Macaulay Culkin was essentially this was written for. However, he did still have to audition for it. Prior to this, we said that he had worked with Hughes on Uncle Buck. Precocious kid. He's probably like 8. I think we decided at this time.
Another Summers Off episode of My Girl, where we talked about Macaulay, is after this, right?
Yes.
I think this is 90, and that was maybe 92 or 91. I think it's very shortly
91,
because
then 92 is Home Alone 2.
Okay, so it was in between those.
I think so.
Yep.
Another gangster was considered for the role of Harry. Harry ended up being played by Joe Pesci, but think about really...
Robert De Niro.
Yes, I was gonna say the only other guy that you could like. Oh, he could play. Him and Pesci could play the same.
Oh, but he's just not charactery like Pesci.
He's not. So
I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I don't even know that he was as considered that seriously, but
Yeah.
like the idea of a Robert De Niro type
Mhm.
is a little too serious, I think. Pesci has such a cartooniness about him,
Mhm.
while also being like very scary.
Sure.
But yeah, I can't picture it not as Joe Pesci. Another person who was considered for that role, John Lovitz,
Okay.
who could be cartoony. I think
Uh-huh.
he would
Yep,
be
for sure.
it would be different,
Yep.
but he'd be
Yeah,
all
a
right.
little less gangstery,
A little
but
less scary.
but still like very charactery.
Yeah. And then for Marv is played by the character Daniel Stern.
Yep.
And Stern actually was first hired on board. And then at one point during production, they talked about extending the filming for 2 more weeks. And Daniel Stern was like, that's great. Do I get a raise? Do I get, paid more for 2 more weeks? And initially they were like, yeah, no, it's going to be the same. And he was like, yeah, at this point he said, like, my ego said, like, nope, I'm not going to do that. So he walked off and they replaced him with another actor named Daniel something. I didn't write his last name, but at any rate, we've got a new guy playing Marv. So we've got Marv and Harry, and we've got maybe 2 days of filming with him and Pesci.
Oh, so they put it to film.
Yeah. But the chemistry was just not right from the get-go.
Oh,
They
okay.
just were like, Columbus was like, nope, this isn't magic. This isn't good. We need to get our old Marv back. So they went back to the old Marv and said, like, hey, would you do this for this amount? And he said yes. And then, in interviews, Daniel Stern talks about I did it and I'm glad I did, but man, I would have felt so terrible had I lost this opportunity to do this film that I love so much because of my ego.
For
I was
sure.
like, well, it's just your ego, but it's also your right to be paid for 2 more weeks
For
of
sure.
work.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like, well, that sounds pretty fair.
Yeah, 100%. And he had done other movies. He was
Yeah.
in some Billy Crystal movies and things like that.
Yeah,
in
right
the
after
80s.
this, he did City Slickers.
Oh, City Slickers is after
It's
this?
right after this.
Oh, I
and
thought
it's
this was
blowing up while
after.
he's on City Slickers. So
Oh.
they're I'll give him a tough time. Like, hey, you've got the #1 movie right now.
Yeah, that's funny. I would have totally thought City Slickers happened first, and that was his beginning of
Yeah.
another level of his career.
I agree, because I think he looks almost a little bit younger in City
He
Slickers.
does.
Yeah.
He definitely does.
I think that's what getting harassed by an 8-year-old does to you. I think you just ages you so fast in the face.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
But Stern and Pesci had actually already worked together before on a film.
Okay.
And I think that's why there was already that chemistry and camaraderie there. They looked like they could be buds. And the film was called I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can. Ty. When you watch this, because I know this was one of your favorites.
Oh, this is a fun one.
I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can. What is it that you love most about that film?
Well, what's really cool is you get to see Pesci and Marv and Daniel as these characters that you usually don't get to see them as because they're competing dance instructors for different dance companies. It's very similar to Karate Kid in structure, where you have these competing dojos, but they're competing studios. And Marv's studio is the good studio, and Joe Pesci's studio is kind of the assholes. They were all black. And there's even a moment where Pesci tries to fight Marv, and Marv quickly dances his way out of it, and Pesci's arm goes through the dance mirror. Just like the car scene for Karate Kid. But it's pretty heartwarming. Lots of fun little kids dancing in that one.
Lots of fun little kids dancing. Love that. Kids Little Dancing, I don't know why that reminded me, but Macaulay Culkin was actually a ballerina before he got into acting.
Yeah?
Yeah, he did the Nutcracker from a professional standpoint. So,
Sure.
yeah, there you go.
He seems... this isn't fair.
Yeah, I'm ready.
He seems like a kid who grew up a rich kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like his family was wealthy, and they allowed him. You tend to think that when kids get involved in acting at a very early age,
Yeah.
at this level,
Yeah.
it's like their parents are either wealthy or really well connected in the industry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those kids, it's very rare that somebody's like, and you, brilliant kid who I've never heard of before and who has no experience and is probably from a poor family. Like, it
Sure.
just never happens like that.
Yeah.
So I just have this feeling that he was a very wealthy kid.
You have segued us. I was going to go into filming, but you know what? I think we have to talk about Macaulay Culkin real quick,
Okay.
just so that you have some perspective going into it.
Yeah.
You could not be more wrong.
Oh.
He's one of 7.
Okay.
Parents never married. They lived in a 1-bedroom apartment
In Chicago?
in New York.
Oh, okay.
Growing up, and so poor, very, very poor.
Really?
Yes. Like his agent has stories about he would take him to things, and Macaulay would like go under the gym bleachers and like look for like spare change and things like that.
Oh,
They
okay.
said like just the whole family was
But
just
he
like
was-
hillbillies.
But he was a ballerina, and that costs money.
Yeah, I don't know how
Dance
that.
costs money.
Yeah, of course.
It's like hockey then dance for kids
Mhm.
and their
Yeah.
activities and how much they cost.
Yeah, I think maybe parents were putting everything into it.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad was physically abusive to
Oh, okay.
to all the kids, and I think I have other pieces to go from there. We know he's got his. So I said one of 7, right? So he's got his
Mhm.
younger brother, Kieran, also into acting.
Yep.
I think with his agent, he just eventually got put out for so many things. He eventually got kind of just discovered in that
Okay.
way. So kind of like how it never happens, it happened for him.
Yeah.
And then the hard part is that once he started like blowing up and making money, then his father, especially, it was just constant. He was saying like, okay, next film, we need to make money. And so, and then when we're making that money, we don't know what to do with that money. So we're blowing that money.
Yeah,
And so like
yep.
ruining his finances. And so
Sure.
by the time that he's 12, and this is when he does, like around the time he does Good Son, I think.
Okay. Yep. But
Macaulay-
you've never seen it.
Which
It's on
I've
our
never
list.
seen, and it seems so scary with Elijah Wood, right?
Yep. Yep.
But he is just so like burnt out, and he's like, I need a break. Like I miss school. I wanna be a kid for a bit.
Because he disappears for a while.
He does. So he takes a break from film, and he's able to do that because he, I think as a 14-year-old, but he starts to kind of get more legally savvy and hires people, and then he essentially, there's some misconception. People think that he emancipated himself from his parents, but he just took the legal rights away from their name on his money and created a trust, so that way that when he turned 18, that then his money would go to him
Oh,
at that
gotcha.
time. So that happens, and when that happens, Dad leaves. Dad essentially
okay.
like takes all of his like memorabilia from films, things like that, like things, and then just like leaves, and he doesn't see him or the family like really ever again.
Wow.
Yeah, and just has like just a terrible relationship.
Did you hear anything? And you don't have to know this. I'm just curious. Have you ever heard anything about his relationship with Kieran? Like, are they really close?
Yeah, I think they're
Okay.
they're brothers, and there's even
They're
don't know.
brothers?
I'm. Well, I
Wait,
just mean.
I thought they were cousins. In the movie, they're cousins.
It's so
In real life,
complicated.
are they brothers? Because that's
I know.
confusing.
I literally need another family map for the Macaulay Culkin map. It's very much like the McAllisters. It's like, wait, who's brothers? Who's sisters? Yes, no. I think they're, even as adults, I never heard anything about them having a falling out or
Sure.
anything
Okay.
like that.
Because
but-
he started off in Father of the Bride. Kieran did, right?
Oh, I don't know
Or
what,
was it
what
this,
his first one.
maybe? It would have been around that same
he's
time.
so very little
He's
in
so
this.
little. Okay, if you guys don't remember Fuller, hopefully you do. Fuller is maybe one of my favorite characters. I'll every once in a while when I have a pop open, I'll like look at Rach and I'll just do that like slurp of it or whatever with the eyes, and she knows exactly that I'm doing the Fuller at her. Like, oh, Fuller, what's the bed?
It's one of my
Especially if I
favorite.
crack one like later at night, I'm like 8 o'clock cracking it. I'll really give her the Fuller. Like, Ty's gonna wet the bed tonight.
So good. Yeah. So, anyways, all that's to say, and we don't need to stay anymore on that, but like, yeah, kind of an unexpected childhood, and even I think as an adult. So he goes away for a while. He said, I heard him talk about going to high school, and he said that was so good for him just to be around peers because he had been around adults for so long.
Sure.
And people talk about like, well, isn't it weird? Like everybody knows you. He's like, yeah, but I have to get used to that. So I was surprised at how well adjusted he sounded, because I think there's a time in there, especially maybe in his 20s, like where there's pictures of him and he just looks like he's got this long, greasy hair.
But he was dating Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
So obviously he wasn't that
I
weird.
guess
He
not.
still was awesome. He just looked a little silly.
Yeah.
We all have those bad time periods where we go through, and I think his was
guess.
just a little later
Yeah,
than
yeah.
ours were. And From all reports, it sounds like he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
But
he just grew up so fast, right? So
Yeah.
like he was married at 18 and then divorced at 22, and then I'm guessing that's later than he started dating Mila Kunis. Maybe
Oh, I don't
after
know.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know that trajectory, but he in interviews as like early as like last year, it was like, oh, like you cut his hair. He's a father now. He married one of the gals from the show Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. She's the
I know the show, but I don't know any of the
her name is
characters.
London Tipton. She's like the
okay.
socialite, the rich one. But they have a baby, and he just seems like a very nice guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Kieran's killing it in Succession. So there
Yeah.
you
a
go.
lot.
The brothers are rocking.
They're on top of their game after all this. It was a little sad I first read about an interview that Culkin did about the just watching Home Alone. Like he says he doesn't really watch it at all because for him, when he sees it, he doesn't see the film. He remembers the day on set. Like, oh, that was the day that I was hiding my Pepsi behind this couch and taking sips of it, or
Yep.
things kind of like that. Or he also, this was the quote, and it said, watching it, it's like background radiation at Christmas time. And I read that, and I'm like, that's so sad. But then I listened and I watched the interview, and it was so light and upbeat, and it was so.
So it was more of a joke.
It was
more
of a joke.
self-deprecating humor.
Yes, he had a lot
But
of
if
that.
you read it, you'd be like, "Wow, this is traumatic."
Yeah, when I read it, it sounded like, oh, and he's so ungrateful, like, or
sure.
just like.
Yep.
Like he couldn't even take into any pleasure in what he put out there. But it was not that. It was like, yeah, no, I get why people love it, and I don't watch it because it's different for me, and it's it's just on. It's like background radiation at Christmas time.
Yep.
So, anyways, that just goes to show: stop reading and start watching.
You're right. You're right. I'm gonna stop reading so much. I'm
Don't
gonna start
read so
watching
much.
more TV because I think that will help me understand humanity a little bit better.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Rach.
It
Thanks
did-
for the great advice.
You're so welcome. Anywho, so that's Macaulay Culkin. Let's talk about the filming, okay?
Yeah.
So we have to find this house.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find this iconic house. And so we're in the Chicagoland area. We end up going to Winnetka. Am I saying that right? Winnetka, Illinois.
Okay.
Sounds right. They wanted the house to be both warm and menacing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
What do you think?
I hear you.
Yeah?
I still have a problem if you still think they're middle class, though. But I mean, if
Upper middle class?
if we can wipe that away and acknowledge that they're very rich, yeah, warm but menacing.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah. Well, it was the 90s. I mean, it probably was upper middle, right? In the 90s, weren't we all
oh, we were rolling in
living
it.
high on the
Oh
hog?
yeah, those were the greatest of times.
So that home, a good chunk of it was used, obviously. The outside of it, the inner staircase was used, but obviously they have to build a set that's just wider for cameras and things like that to
Yep.
get in. So they recreate this house in the most unlikely of spaces. There is an abandoned high school in the Chicagoland area that they built this house in.
Okay.
They built the
all the
inside-
interior.
They built all the interior in a school gym.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is a very famous high school. There have been many other films that have been filmed at this abandoned Chicago high school.
Really?
Other famous John Hughes high school films.
Oh, like Pretty in Pink and 16
Yes.
Candles, Breakfast
Yes,
Club.
Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off
Ferris
was
Bueller,
filmed
yeah,
here.
that makes
The
a lot
high
of
school
sense.
is New Trier High School. New
Okay.
Trier, yeah. Yeah, it's
So
just
he
a high
just
school.
repurposed. He owns the property then,
I don't know if
Or
it's
like-
not Hughes. Well, maybe it's Hughes Production. I think
or he
it's,
just has easy access to it and he just keeps repurposing it.
Yeah, you rent out this high school and your art department goes over to the art studio area. Like you just take up different classrooms for different productions, and then in the gym you have all of your lighting because there's a grid up
Yeah.
on top that you can light from that. One of the crazy parts too is how they're the wet bandits.
Yeah.
And the wet bandits, what is their calling card?
They turn on all the sinks in the kitchens and they let the house flood.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I like it in number 2, they become the Sticky Bandits. Where he sticks his
yeah.
glove in the Salvation Army bucket and he's got coins all over it. It's like, we're the Sticky Bandits.
I love Marv. I think
Marv
he's
is
so
the best.
funny. He
Marv,
really is.
So, I mean, granted, Joe Pesci is truly the great actor out of the two.
Horrifying.
But when I was a kid, especially,
Mm-hmm.
like I thought Joe Pesci was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated his performance a lot more now, but Marv was the money for me. I was just in love with Marv.
Yeah, yeah. Their dynamic is so great.
And I'll be honest, he's not too big.
No,
So
he wasn't.
there's in these kinds of movies, there's a huge tendency to like have your foils like go over the top and make it like a little too big and boisterous to where now we're like, oh, kind of rolling our eyes as we get older. But they actually do a good job of keeping it within the realm of reality. I believe Marv.
When he screams, I believe it.
I do.
I would say, yep, that's
Yep.
what I would do. We'll talk about those. But the wet bandit piece, so we've got a lot of flooding, right?
Uh-huh.
Where in a school would you think would be a really good spot to build a set that was maybe going to flood?
The pool.
Yes, the pool, the abandoned pool. So we've got part of the house that's built in the gym, the other part of a neighbor's house that gets flooded, built in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just having a great time at high school.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That's
like, just
very
the setup of that.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a unique thing. Like, in Hollywood, you would have it on different sets.
Yeah, you
but
have it
it's
on
like,
the sound stages.
Yeah.
Yep, they'd be just in
weird,
studios.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like this whole idea of
Well,
just
it's like
getting a
repurposing.
huge
It's already there.
abandoned warehouse or school and just repurpose it and build your stuff out of that rather than the studio.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Would you like to do random trivia? Would you like to talk about some stunts and pranks?
Let's talk about stunts and pranks.
Stunts on pranks. You got it. All right. Stunts, real or fake?
I would say.
As far as a stunt goes.
Wait,
I guess.
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do I mean
Nobody
by that?
stepped on a nail for real.
Probably not.
Okay. I mean, stunts. I think that there were obviously stunt doubles who did a lot of the work
Yes.
for Marvin and Joe Pesci, especially. What's Joe Pesci's name in there?
Harry.
Harry
Yeah.
and Marv.
Harry Lime, I think, is his
Harry
last
Lime?
name. Harry Lime with a Y.
Oh, okay.
I
Very
don't
fun.
know Marv's last name.
So you could see the points where the doubles took over. I actually saw Pesci's stunt double's face at one point. I was like, oh, I
yeah.
just caught the double.
Well, what I mean to say is they were real in the sense that we don't have CGI yet. We
Oh,
don't have
yeah,
things
for sure.
like that. So yes,
You're all doing
everything
practical.
is practical
Yep.
stunts. But so much so that we don't have crash mats. We don't have
People getting hurt?
probably they didn't
Okay.
they didn't focus a lot on that in the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it was kind of like a let's get the take, let's hope it's good so we don't have to do that
Oh,
again.
okay.
And so these stunt doubles were just like, those falls, like they're just throwing
Yeah.
their bodies into the air on these concrete steps.
But you are trained to do pratfalls and to
Yeah.
fall anywhere. So
You
what I
are.
will say, that hurts, but like
No.
their bodies are accustomed to that.
Yeah.
Like they
They
can do
did
pratfalls
say that
safely.
they were
There's a
trained
lot of
for
step
it.
stuff.
The step
A lot of
stuff,
step
yeah.
stuff.
The guy was just like, I just threw my body as high as I could into the air for the shot. It's like,
yeah,
ow.
Pesci's double has one where he flies so far up in the air and his legs get so far up high.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. It's
Yeah.
super athletic, actually.
They call that the Home Alone
Oh, okay.
in the biz now. Like when you need to do
Yeah.
a fall like
Well,
that, you do the Home Alone
yeah,
fall.
you
So
know
it's
we
like,
did
jump
that,
in the
right?
air.
In Unarmed?
You did.
We did those kinds of falls where you fly way up in the air. We didn't call it the Home Alone, but we called it some other name.
That's some movie biz talk, I suppose. While they're doing this, because the cinematographer is also a little green and they're also worried, like, I am not going to get that shot, he made sure that he always had a wide angle going
Yep.
so that just in case he
Yeah.
could always have the shot if they got it.
Yep.
They ended up liking it so much that they used the wide angle for a lot of what ended up in the film.
Nice. That's awesome. And something I think we need to start implementing in our shoots as well.
It's always good to have a third camera just going.
Just always have the wide going.
Yeah, he referred to it as the chicken shit camera. I know, they went to it a lot, they said. Now, there are 3 scenes that I want to talk about specifically with the pranks.
Okay.
And some of these I told you to watch. One
Yeah,
of them
you did. Yep.
was with the BB gun to the
Yes,
face when
when
Marv comes through
Marv
the
comes
dog
through the
door.
dog door, yep.
Yes. So what I wanted you to watch was, obviously this is not CGI.
Uh-huh.
What we did there. Any ideas on how we made it look like the pellet came from the gun and went to his head?
There's a spark that happens by the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even remember seeing anything actually hit his forehead.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing his reaction to it.
Sure.
So it was so fast that I
Yeah.
just bought it.
So within 6 frames, they had somebody hand paint on the frames a BB gun pellet going from the gun to his forehead.
Oh,
It happens so fast.
Yep.
But if you watch it, like watch very closely, and you can see it almost. Yeah, it looks like not like a cartoon, but almost a little bit of like that intersperse of like real live action with like cartoon at the same time.
Almost like stop motion style.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Boom, 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 and those 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
photo
said
flips.
they paid some guy who lived in his mom's basement $600 to paint to paint those on those frames.
How rude! I hope that guy actually lived in his mom's basement, because just doing that work does not make you a loser.
No,
makes you amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you. You always
Great
say that.
artist.
Another one is the ornaments. Oh, that one always makes me cringe a bit.
Well,
Eesh.
but that's one of the few though that I'm like, Marv, you just stepped on a nail downstairs. Why are you not looking down before you step?
This
like,
is true.
Not all of them do I feel like, oh, they should have seen that one coming.
Mm-hmm.
But the ornaments is the one that I think is the most egregious. Like, you had to see that coming.
Yeah. So he's stepping on ornaments. He doesn't have shoes on at this point, which you think, gosh, that would be awful as an actor to have to film all the rest of that without shoes.
Yep.
Because he doesn't have shoes for like the last half of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But the ornaments were made out of candy.
Oh, okay.
But they still hurt.
Yeah,
when he stood
I
on
bet.
it. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, even like hard candy, that's gonna hurt just as much. So he also had rubber feet
Oh.
at the time when
Could
he
you tell
stepped
he had
on.
rubber feet knowing?
I couldn't, but I
Oh,
also
okay.
forgot to look for it.
Oh, okay.
But so I would say no, I couldn't tell because I didn't see it. But
Yep.
yeah, but I'll watch again. And
Okay.
I'll look for rubber feet.
There's one of the decorations that almost like combusts. It like fully explodes when he steps on it instead of just like breaking like part of it.
Sure.
And that's pretty cool. It's like, whoosh. It's like, whoa, that's awesome.
And then the one other prank I want to talk about is with our spider.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought up the spider.
Yeah, so
And
let's talk about the tarantula,
yes.
the pet tarantula that gets loose.
I have been trying to convince Rach about tarantulas for, this has probably been a heavy topic of conversation for a month now. So it's funny that it gets brought up with
Yeah.
Home Alone. We've been talking about it
Why?
recently.
But why? That's so weird that you say that.
We were talking about spiders. Oh, okay. There was this spider up in our bathroom, and I killed it. And Rach was like, I can't reach it. That's why I didn't kill it. And she's like, I would have just let it live. I don't care. Because she was mad because I smeared the spider's guts on the wall. And she's like, great. Now we'd have to like repaint or really wash it in order to get the guts off. And I have a tendency to just be like, well, it's just, that's a casualty. Let that be a warning to other spiders who come through here. And, you clean up as best you can. You're not a psychopath. But you're like, it's not going to look as good as it
Spider
did
guts
before
everywhere.
the spider died. Those are facts.
Yeah.
So Rach is like, I would have just let the spider live. And then I was like, you're so full of crap. But then we started talking about tarantulas, and you were like, they're the only spiders I'm really afraid of, are the big hairy ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, tarantulas are the sweetest of spiders.
Yeah.
Tarantulas, and I keep telling her, like, I was with a student when I worked in special ed, and we read a book about tarantulas, and it talked about
So
them.
now you're a resident expert
Now
on
I
tarantulas.
am pretty much them and chimps. I know a lot about both. And so tarantulas shoot these little hairs out of their legs, right? They
Yes.
rub their legs together and they shoot these hairs out.
Yeah.
If they got scared at you, that's all that would happen. And
Yeah.
those wouldn't feel like,
Mhm.
it feels so insignificant to you,
Mhm.
these little hairs going into you.
Yeah.
They don't bite you.
Yeah.
They don't have fangs that bite.
Sure.
And so they can crawl all over you and they won't do anything. They just shoot their hairs if they got scared at you. And they're affectionate. They actually come to your voice.
Gross.
And
Run away!
they like the warmth of human touch. And so that's why people will hold them in their hands a lot. And so I keep telling her, I was like, they're the most affectionate of spiders. They're the dogs of spiders. And she's like, they're the grossest. And so I kept thinking in my head while I was watching this movie, a more fun movie than like robbers coming into a house with you would be Rachel's Home Alone with a tarantula on the loose. I tape a video earlier in the day, and then I show her I've got this tarantula, and I set it down on the ground, and I say, now, sometime today, you might encounter this spider. All I'll say is, it's around.
Oh my God.
And it was just like 6 hours before. And then I have the SD card waiting, and it says, play me, and you play it. It's like Saw. It's like, hey, Rachel, welcome to the game. It's like, there is a tarantula in the house.
Oh my God.
What would you do? Would you seek the
I
tarantula
hate
out?
this. I
Would you
hate
just
this.
unnervingly walk around? How do you operate in this world with the tarantula just around the house?
I would have to seek it out. I couldn't just wait for it to come to me. I don't want to be
Okay.
surprised when I wake up from a nap and have him like face. Like I can't do that.
Hey, Rach.
Yeah, because the hard part is I may never see him, but I could see him.
Yeah.
So I have to seek him out.
Okay. Now, how will you feel? You're walking around. You accidentally step on the tarantula.
Oh well.
Are you happy about it? You're like, oh, good, that's over.
No, because now he's pissed at me.
No, you step and you kill it. It's a mess on the ground.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kind of grossed out now that I have to clean it up.
Yeah, and now I'm mad because you killed my tarantula.
Well, you
that was
shouldn't
my
have
pet
sent him loose in
tarantula.
the house as a mean saw
Well,
trick.
don't be so scared. Just like live. Just be like, hey, tarantula, I'm home. Taranny.
So the bit.
Taryn the tarantula.
Tara the tarantula. Tara the tarantula.
Tara. I like Tara.
So the bit with the tarantula, and we put him on Marv's face. Marv lets out a blood-curdling scream.
Yep.
But what we know about tarantulas is if you were to do that, he would probably shoot hairs in your face, right?
Yep.
Like you
And
you just
You do
shared.
have to be careful with your eyes.
Sure.
They'll shoot them in your eyes, and you
yeah.
have to go to the doctor to get the needles out.
That would be
Like,
awful.
That's the big thing to worry about.
Yeah. So Daniel, so afraid of spiders, said like, we'll do it in one take. We got this. But can you? I don't know. I couldn't tell watching it, but can you tell that he's actually not screaming in that moment? They had to dub it over because they didn't want to scare the tarantula.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they put it on his face, and he goes. But the scream is like, I can hear the scream now. It's an iconic scream.
It is. It's so high pitched. It's so good. Was it really the actor doing it?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure
okay.
that
So
it
he's
sounds
in
like
the booth
his.
still
Yeah,
doing
it
it.
sounds
Okay.
like his scream.
I thought it was tremendous.
Yeah. So everyone watch that part again, but no, and like see if you can see that it's actually a dubbed
Oh,
scream.
that's so fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that because then the spider wasn't harmed either.
Yeah.
He just like crawled on his face. It's like, woof, goodness.
Yep.
So that's fun with animals on set as well.
Would you ever, like, what if I was trying to convince you? I've done this before with my menagerie, like, talked about wanting the ducks or wanting a turtle. But what if I really wanted a tarantula? Would I ever be able to convince you to let me have a tarantula?
It would be really hard. It's one of those fears. It's just to my core. It's like, it's in the evolution of my fibers. I can't explain. I can't explain it.
Do you think access in proximity to one would help
No.
curb those fears?
No,
Like-
I don't think so.
You didn't say that because you don't want to be challenged. No, like if I was like, all right, here it is. She's so sweet, Tara. Come here, hold out your hand, Rach.
No.
Tara's gonna go in your hand. Don't close your hand. She'll get scared. Oh, she's moving a little bit. Is that fun?
I wouldn't not hold one, right? Like for
Yeah.
a fear. I would do that, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to own one. I don't want to be responsible.
If it was like
for
in the
it.
kitchen, you always saw it
Gross.
like there.
Who wants a spider in the kitchen? Like, what are you, like a 15-year-old boy? Like, no.
Oh, hey, Tara. I'm just
Gross.
making my famous my gooey banana cake. How are you, my little sweetie?
We have puppies for that,
Oh,
and they're
hi,
great.
Penny.
Yeah, the dogs agreed. The dogs don't want a spider either. I'll just put that out
yeah.
there. They would lose their minds.
Penny would be so afraid.
Giz would
She'd
eat
bark
it.
at it.
Giz would attack
Yeah,
it.
Giz would nudge it with her nose
Yeah,
a bunch.
she'll
and
take
then
it down.
Giz does this thing where, like, if she feels, not even when she feels threatened, every once in a while she'll just like put something in her mouth and kind of throw it in the air a little bit. Penny would paw it with her big ass paw and smush it.
For sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't go well.
It wouldn't go well. Other pranks? Like, what's the worst prank for you in this?
The nails in the floor.
The nail in the foot. Yeah,
Yeah.
going up the steps.
But we both had a memory that we thought it went deeper.
We did. It doesn't go. I mean, he
I
stops
thought it goes all the way through, but it just goes in like a little,
Yeah.
well, enough to really cause damage, but
he's
not
tiptoeing up the steps.
but not
so
as
yeah.
far as I thought it went.
Yeah.
Must be thinking of like a scary movie or something where that
Yeah,
happens.
probably. It's funny. People have gone through all of the pranks and have like talked about like the actual physical harm that these would have done had
Yeah.
they been real. Like the paint cans that would kill you.
Oh,
A
sure.
paint can that's even half full from that height
Definitely
at the
would break your
skull
nose
fracture.
and concussion, and then if you fell back on the steps too.
No, the skull fracture, just hitting it, but just a blunt force to your face would
Yeah. Yeah.
indent your face.
Well, I even think about some of their falls that they have on the
Mm-hmm.
steps. Like I remember taking that huge tumble before I was going to a dance class in grad school, and I broke those bursitis sacs that are on the outside of your hip.
Yeah, you
your
slipped
hip
on
bone.
the porch.
And
Yeah.
the bursitis sacs, when they break, my whole side of my body went purple, and I didn't break anything. There was no hairline fractures or anything. But I walked with a limp for like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
And
that was a gnarly
purpley
bruise.
stuff didn't heal forever. And Joe Pesci's up and walking around like pretty normal after that. And I was like, dude, I limped forever. Like, you got to at least limp.
Yeah.
But if you film this out of order, you probably don't even remember that. You're like, oh,
I
what is
suppose.
my, wait, can we take a second? What has my character been through so far?
That's such a good point. Like, I don't know how tired I'm supposed to be. Is this before or after my head is burnt? That again, you would have died with that. There's no surviving the blowtorch to the top of the head. I think he even reported that he did get some minor burns from that.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that, like, safely-ish.
Well, they would have had to do like a flame retardant on his hat.
Yeah.
And had it aimed perfectly. But I mean, even with flame retardants, you get minor burns through the flame retardant materials.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens for sure.
Yeah. So that's a bad one. I'm trying to think of any others. Those are the big ones for me. Yeah, that would have hurt the most.
Yeah.
More random triv. John Candy has a great cameo in this.
He
Tell us
does.
about John Candy's character.
John Candy, you might know him. He's one of the top polka bands in the Midwest. You might know him from his hit Polka 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 or
Polka Kings.
the Polka Kings. One of my favorite moments with John Candy is a moment that might be scripted, but how he delivers it feels like it's improv.
Yeah.
And it's all about his is it his brother-in-law? Or somebody. Oh gosh, what's he even? I wrote
Somebody
it down.
no, it's him and his wife and how they left their kid at a funeral.
Yes,
parlor.
the funeral parlor.
It's his kid.
Yeah, and how he starts talking, like he came around. He started talking a couple weeks later or whatever like that. Oh my gosh, that funeral parlor John Candy story is amazing.
But I did leave one at a funeral parlor once. Yeah, it was terrible too. I was all distraught and everything. The wife and I, we left the little tyke there in the funeral parlor all day. We went back at night when we came to our senses, and there he was. Apparently he was there alone all day with a corpse. Now, he was okay, after 6-7 weeks. And I came around, started talking again. But he's okay. They get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
You brought it up. I was just, trying to cheer you up.
I'm sorry I did.
Great delivery.
Yes.
Just wonderful.
You are right in your instincts that he improvised a lot. And he was really the only one who was allowed to do that from a John Hughes standpoint. Like, I don't know if you know this about Hughes, but he's very particular with the script. He's like, it's this way because I wrote it that way.
Yep.
So Candy was the only one who was really given credence to be able to improv, and he improv'd a lot. He was in the film as a favor to who was I just talking
Chris
about?
Columbus or John Hughes?
Hughes, yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to say John Pesci. I was like, that's not anybody. I got to make him a favor. Yeah. No. So his filming all took place in 24 hours. It was one day of filming, and he got paid less than the pizza guy.
Oh my gosh,
it.
Little Nero's Pizza Man.
Little Nero's Pizza Guy. I think that kid made like $500, like a standard day rate.
What a great! How awesome would that be if you're a Little Nero's Pizza Guy, and you have like 3 lines, like hey, this is how much you owe me, cheapskate, and that's it. But you have this great moment in this movie that's probably #1 for multiple weeks, and you can point it to your friends and be like, "That was Little Nero's Pizza Guy."
That's me running.
That's me. How cool is that?
Yeah, John Candy only made $400, like $414 for his day.
Okay.
And I think, there are interviews that said that I think he was taken advantage of just a little bit. I think he thought he was just going to come in, shoot a little bit, and be gone. Because there were points in the day, like when he was looking over at, oh my God, I lost his name again.
Which one? John Hughes or Chris
Hughes.
Columbus?
Why can't I remember Hughes' name? And he was like kind of giving the eye, like, "Are you serious right now? Like, why am I not let go yet?" I don't know what favor, why he had to do it for him, but he did.
Oh, okay.
Probably from his Uncle Buck days. There's probably something there he owed him. So, but yeah, and I just think that it's such a brilliant scene because you've got also like another veteran improver, Kristen O'Hara, going with him.
Even though she doesn't really do it, she just is a listener.
Yeah.
in all those scenes.
Yeah.
So it's not like she gets to show off any of her like Christopher Guest skills.
No, that's
that
true.
She
doesn't
has.
get to show off her chops, but because she's a generous partner too,
Yeah,
and she's
yep.
just like, okay, we don't need to talk anymore. Like she kind of like is good about cutting him off, and that's her character too. She's plays
Yep.
like kind of the straight lace mom. But yeah, that's probably one of the first movies I saw her in.
That
ever.
is the first time I ever saw her. And I just thought she was probably just like kind of a generic actress who plays moms.
Yeah.
Until seeing her in all the Christopher
Who
Guest
knew?
movies. And then it's fun because then you finally got to see her in, what gosh was that show with Eugene Levy and the Levies?
Oh, Schitt's
Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
Where she gets to show off all her skills.
Yeah, I can't remember if Beetlejuice was probably before this.
Oh, she's
so
in
that would have
Beetlejuice.
been the other people, like just her zaniness, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
But she definitely plays. Yeah, she plays everybody's mom in this. Everybody's '90s fashion designer mom.
Middle class mom.
Yeah, middle class, totally middle class.
Yep. She's got like really expensive clothes on, it looks like. Yeah, for sure.
There was one other thing in the script that was not by John Hughes. Got it. This
Nice.
time. That was added later,
Okay.
and that was by Columbus.
Uh-huh.
And it's a scene that I think for a lot of people adds a lot more depth to Home Alone and maybe pushes it into more of like a Christmas classic movie. And not because of this.
Is it the scene in the church?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not because the scene is like, oh, that's an amazing scene, but it's because it kind of like, it gives it heart. It gives the film a little bit more heart, right?
All right. I'm so glad you brought this up.
Yes.
So
that's my
that
job.
is one of those scenes that your boy
As a kid,
was bored.
probably didn't like it.
And was like, oh, let's
Yeah.
just get to the action. I maybe even fast forward through it.
Sure.
I pretty much didn't like any of the old man stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
he's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's scary.
But like,
it's funny at the beginning.
yeah, and I was just like, oh, this is the boring part before we get to the fun stuff at the end.
Yeah.
But this run through,
Yeah.
I loved it. I think that actor's okay, but he's just okay enough that I feel like he's real. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where I'm
I
like,
thought it was good.
I don't know if you're a good actor, but your line deliveries are selling it for me of like who you are as a person because people aren't actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I actually believe you.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence about the kids and everything and about his estrangement with his son and all that stuff hit me this last time. I was
Yeah?
like, wow, that's pretty special. And then at the end with the hug,
Yes.
and for the first time I've ever seen this, whenever I've watched this movie, the first time that I was like, that moment finally clicked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they kind of argued about it a bit and thought like it, I think Hughes thinks a lot of times like it's unnecessary. I gave you a perfect script, and Columbus was like, trust me, like we have to just add just a little bit, that we need that to come full circle, because otherwise, what is the thing with the old man? Like, when do we decide that the old
Just
man
because
is
he
a friend?
saves him?
Yeah, he just saves him, and so then he's like a good guy, and
Yeah.
then we don't have the granddaughter bit at the end. Like we wouldn't even have that wave at the end. We
Yep.
would just have he saved him, and then that's it, and he just like hobbles away.
Yeah.
and he's still scary. like, like no, that
I
doesn't
guess
make
he
any
didn't
sense.
kill anybody. Yeah, his backstory I thought that's a really good Columbus move.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
smart.
That was smart. That was very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the film within the film.
Oh yes.
You know the one.
Oh, I do. Angels without souls?
Angels with filthy souls.
Oh, that's what it is.
Di, what are we talking about?
We are talking about the awesome movie that the two different versions of it show themselves in both Home Alone movies.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you can see
You're referring to angels with even filthier souls.
Oh, is that what the second one's called?
Yes.
I thought it was maybe just another scene in this movie. That
No,
we
it's
never saw.
it's a totally different movie.
Okay, there is some mob movie that he watches, like 1920s prohibition style mobs with Tommy guns.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 40s. And there's this guy who has these like iconic quotes
Yeah.
that everybody knows from this movie. And this guy, there's like an argument between mob guys.
Yep.
And he goes, "I'll give you to the count of 10 to get your lousy, no good carcass off my front door. 1, 2, 10." And the way he
the laugh
his
is
laugh
crazy.
is so great. And as a kid, I always thought, like, is this a movie or not? Like, I didn't know. I thought it was a real movie, that they
Yeah.
were just, like, some random-ass movie that they're like, oh, let's pay attention to
You're
it.
not alone. A lot of people think that that's a real film.
Yeah.
It is not. It was made to look like an old-time
Oh,
film.
it's
like with all the old
great.
equipment and everything.
I love it in number 2, though, because he's arguing with a lady. And then she
yeah.
goes, "Oh, you've been sleeping with everybody.
I think he says smooching.
Smooching." Yeah.
I think he says smooching.
You've been smooching with everybody. And he starts listing all these people. Giant Vito, Little Mo with a gimpy leg. I love Little Mo with the gimpy leg. It's so great.
I mean, it goes back to mom movies like Tommy Two Fingers.
Yeah.
And, like you always have these like nicknames, and it's usually some like ailment. Billy Four Eyes. Like, it's just it's great. That's I think why people think it's real. It's
Little
just
Mo with the
so
gimpy
it's
leg.
so realistic.
I tell you what I'm gonna give you, Snakes. I'm gonna give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no-good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead.
All right, Johnny, I'm sorry. I'm going.
1, 2, 10. Keep the change, you filthy animal.
I do love that it has come back in the second one and that it's now another film as well. I just think that's great.
And what's his last line in the movie?
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah. And then I think in the second one, doesn't he say, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal?
I think so, because...
And a Happy New Year.
Yes, that's why. Okay, that's why. I kept thinking, like, when's he going to say Merry Christmas?
I think it's in the second
It's because
one.
it's in 2. And
Yep.
to me, these movies are so intertwined. Like, I thought the Talk Boy was in this one. The Talk Boy is
Usually-
in number 2.
You know why that is? Because usually you watch them as double headers.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It just blends so much for me. Or, like, I thought they were the
Absolutely.
Sticky Bandits, not the Wet Bandits. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, again, that's how, like, close that these movies are woven into themselves. For me, at least. I don't know if other people feel that way. But
Yep.
oof. All right. A few more things about the sets and the filming.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about other things.
Cool.
I will decide. Snow is hard to come by
Snow.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great. Like today,
Yeah.
today would be a beautiful day for filming.
Uh-huh.
Today would be the day. And we actually have, I think, 2 houses on our block that look like a mini version of
the Home Alone
the
house.
Home Alone mansion.
Yep.
I would say. So I should get out. Let's go out there
Yeah,
and take
and
the
we
pics.
call those houses, like, one of them we say is, like, at least lower class. Oh, wait, lower upper class.
I mean, they're both half mil houses, so I feel
Yeah.
good saying like that's an
Just
upper,
saying
upper
up-
class. I don't know.
yeah.
If I had a half mil house, I'd call myself upper class.
Would you?
I would.
No, you'd pretend you're a middle class person because that's what all the upper class people do. They're like, oh, I'm not as rich as Tony Savoni, so I'm a middle class. Tony Savoni in charge of the Savoni Industries.
Well, I think on day 2 there was a snowstorm, and before
Okay.
that there wasn't like any snow forecasted, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been pretty dry in the Chicagoland area, so they had to film all of like the last day stuff, the magical thing with Mom coming home. They
Yeah.
needed all of that on day 2 essentially,
Oh, okay.
so they could get it.
So it was all just weather dependent.
Weather dependent, just on the outside stuff.
Okay.
One of the things that they added, because they needed to have some flurries,
Mm-hmm.
is they added some potato flakes
Oh,
to
okay.
make the snow look extra light and fluffy as it was
Yeah.
coming down. And I
Yep.
was watching it, and I was like, yeah, that does look like potato flakes. The problem, though, is that when it gets warmer,
Uh-huh.
as it did, and it starts to melt, and it starts...
Making mashed potatoes on the ground.
Yeah, and like rotten mashed potatoes on the ground because it's
Oh.
a starch, and so it got really stinky
Oh.
around the house for a while.
Okay.
This is very gross. We've tried to make, I think maybe we've talked about this on this podcast, but we've
Yep.
tried to make snow before
Yeah, for Elf
on
Jr.
stage.
Yep.
What did you remember was like our best snow combination?
Yeah.
Because like the glitter snow you buy online
No.
was not good.
The glitter snow.
That was meant for like displays,
The
probably.
glitter snow looks like when you're dropping it that you're just dropping glitter on the
Yeah,
stage.
which
It
you-
doesn't
you
look like
could
you're
miss
dropping
if you
snow.
weren't looking closely.
Yeah, yep. It just looks like what's this weird glittery dust that's falling. So in order to get some good snow, what we did was we took paper shreds. Or like hole
like hole
punch.
punches,
Hole
yep.
punches.
Mhm.
Hole punches were nice because hole punches catch the air and they kind of flutter a little bit.
Yep.
But then the best thing to make some nice chunks in it is you take packing kernels.
Yeah, packing peanuts.
Yeah, packing peanuts.
Yep.
And you break them in half because packing peanuts themselves are too big. So you break them into chunks,
Mm-hmm.
and then and they also catch the wind and they kind of float a little bit
Uh-huh.
in a really beautiful way. And then you mix in the glitter, so then you have some of that sparkle, and you get the perfect snow combination. I'll be honest, I was so pleased with what our snow looked like.
Yeah, it was
I thought
really
it
pretty.
looked gorgeous.
Especially the first time until you have to like keep sweeping it up and then keep
Oh,
dropping it. And
yeah.
you're like, oh, this is so gross. There's so much hair in this.
Well, you know why that sucks is because we were a 2-man team and we had no stagehands. Because if you have an entire team of 8 people, then that would have been a lot more.
Well, and I don't know that we trusted any, 12-year-olds to go up onto the grid.
Yeah, no.
to drop snow.
So there is
so,
director Ty Hudson up there in the
Get your
middle
ass
of the
up there,
show, trying to drop it,
Make
and
it
then
snow.
when the sound cuts out, he's yelling from up there, "Rach, can't hear the microphone for Yubi." His name's not Yubi, that's Happy Elf.
Yep.
Yep.
Good times.
Fun times.
We should do another show.
Yeah.
We should direct a show.
We should.
We're great. Joe Pesci had a lot of difficulty with this show.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine why he might have a tough time on set?
Not enough profanity.
Yeah, because he couldn't. He wasn't allowed to cuss.
Oh,
in the movie.
really?
I mean, sure, you could maybe cuss on set, but you have to be careful. There's like,
Yeah, a lot of
you're
kids.
trying to. There's kids around.
Yep.
Yeah, his biggest personal hurdle was that he couldn't cuss.
So whenever something happened to him and he had to go, "Frigga, sugar, frigga."
Yeah, he made up his own language essentially. His
was-
garbledy-gook.
It's a brilliant choice,
It's
though.
so great.
It's my favorite thing of his entire performance.
Yeah.
What? 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 What happened?
Yeah, he was told to replace the F word with frigid anytime he wanted to say it, because he even talked about like when he reads scripts for lines, the only way that he can make it sound like him is if he adds the F word in every other. So he's like,
I
I'm
can see
never gonna
that.
do it. Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, I can hear that. So that was really challenging for him. Also challenging were the early morning calls. Joe Pesci likes to start his day with 9 holes of golf every day.
Jeez, it's winter.
Does he
in
seem
Chicago?
Yeah, it's true. Does he seem like a golfer to you?
No,
I
he
don't
doesn't.
know that he
But
does.
you know what I've learned is you can't put a stereotype on golfers.
It's an
They-
everyman sport.
You know,
would we say that?
in a weird way,
Is
it's like every person who has time and money, it's their sport.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter what you kind of look like or do.
Just
Like
as long as you have time and money, because that
Yeah.
doesn't look like anybody.
they
in
play a lot of
particular.
golf in The Sopranos, is what I'll say.
Oh, that's
in that
true.
TV show. So yeah, I think that doesn't mean that you can't be a mob star and do golf.
That's true. But yeah, so he had to have a conversation with production and had said like, hey, you need to push my callback time 2 hours. I'm not going to be in here before 9 a.m. I will be playing golf.
Oh my god.
Because he's Joe Pesci. Yeah, he does what he does.
I know. I have
Yeah.
a friend who was just on a shoot. He had a similar thing about an actor saying
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, my call time's gonna be 2 hours later than what you keep saying." I think it's so unprofessional. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think they have a schedule. They're
Mm-hmm.
working at it, and your job as an actor
That's your job.
is to be there on set when they need you to be on set, so they can get the
Even
amount of
if they're
stuff
doing
done.
lights or other things like that, I get it if your time gets wasted a
Yeah,
lot.
and
Then
I
that's
think-
a conversation to
for
have.
sure.
But that's a conversation. That's not a
Yep.
demand or an expectation. That's just like a workaround. Like, hey, I'm noticing that you're wasting my time 3 hours every morning. Could I potentially come at Anyways, that's how I would handle it. Another piece about Pesci that you might not enjoy is that he is a bit method.
Oh, okay.
So that means the really only piece
Yeah, I was
of
saying, how
that.
would that play itself out
With
here?
this one, the only relationship that impacted was him and Culkin. He was not warm to Macaulay Culkin. He didn't want to seem like they palled
Why?
around at all. I know he's a kid too, so Macaulay was like,
And
he's
it's a
kind of scary.
It's a kid's movie.
It's a kid's
Yeah,
movie.
like when I
Yeah.
hear it when they're doing horror and like the scary guy is like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stay away from the other actors, so they like have this aura of mystery about me.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of see it. I think it's kind of silly, waste of your time, but I can kind of see it. But with this movie,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be an asshole to Macaulay just so you can like help maintain that aura of relationship on
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah,
Why can't
because-
you just act?
Yeah, I don't know that I thought Marv and Macaulay were like best buds, although
Yeah.
I do love Marv because he's just so fun. Yeah, but he went so far as to during the scene when Pesci bites
Yeah,
his finger,
his fingers.
he actually bit it really hard one day and he left a scar
Oh my
on little
gosh.
Culkin's finger. He broke skin. So yeah, Macaulay Culkin likes to show that scar sometimes. He's like, yeah, I
Still
still
has it?
He still has a scar. What's a scar? You still have it.
Oh, I thought it was just like a scratch that
A
stuck around.
scratch. No, I
for a while.
would have called it a scratch. That's a scar.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm so sorry.
So yeah, there's Pesci. There's a little antics there.
Wow.
Yeah, let's talk about other things that you want to talk about. What about like scenes? Like a moment. I love the aftershave moment.
Yeah.
That was one.
Only he does it twice. He should have learned his lesson the first time.
I didn't know that it came up twice.
Yeah.
What's funny about that scene is he was actually directed to like pat and like take your hands away, like you put on aftershave.
Yeah.
But he accidentally just kept the hands there and then screamed, and then they just loved it. They're like, all right, we'll keep it.
Yeah, it's
We
a
like
brilliant
it.
accidental
Brilliant
art
accident.
right there.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about who's to blame for all this? Is that coming up?
Let's talk about it now. Who's to blame?
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the things that went wrong so we can talk
Yep.
about maybe how this happened. So, first off, Macaulay Culkin gets sent up to the third floor,
Yep.
the scary third floor in this middle-class house for the night because he was being rude at
He was
dinner.
being a brat. Now, he was being a brat. He was mouthy.
Yeah, he
He's
should go
very
have
mouthy.
a timeout.
He needed to be disciplined. I think that made sense. You've got to share your bed with your cousins. That kind of stuff happens as well. Buzz gets away with way too much, though.
And he looks like such a jerk.
He for sure does.
There's
The
no
casting
way.
was pretty much perfect there.
Yeah.
But Buzz is such a jerk, and the fact that the parents wouldn't like discipline
Hear
Buzz.
both boys.
Yeah, they never like discipline Buzz. And Buzz isn't that smart about it. It's not like he's whispering things to Macaulay or to Kevin and being like,
Yeah.
I'm going to egg you on silently. And then you yell at me and then now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
He's not Machiavellian. He's just outward about it. And he never gets in trouble. And somebody needed to save Kevin at least one slice of cheese.
Yeah.
That's easy for somebody to be like, hey, hold on. I got to take a slice of cheese for Kevin. Otherwise he'll freak out. You know what I mean?
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
No, I agree. So things that happen. So Kevin's upstairs, kind of
Yep.
away from others. So that's a part of it. The electricity gets
electricity
knocked
goes out
so the
'cause of a
whole
tree
family is
falls.
late, and so that's kind of the franticness in the morning.
Yep.
I don't know if you caught this, but with the night when everyone was kind of arguing, the milk gets spilled.
And the passport gets thrown in the trash.
Yeah, passports, and I think a ticket might also get thrown in the trash.
But are we supposed to assume that was only Kevin's?
yeah,
See, that is far-fetched to me. And I don't think entirely necessary.
I don't think it is either. But I guess if you were passing out tickets, you'd have one extra,
Well,
and so they would have caught it.
Or
earlier.
you give it to I don't know. You never give it to Kevin because he can't be responsible enough for that.
No.
But there had to be some other thing because the whole time I kept thinking like, what are the chances out of like 20-something people, Kevin's passport and ticket got thrown in the trash right there?
Yeah. I don't know.
I didn't need it.
That's probably the thinnest,
Yeah.
the most craziest of.
I think what they
circumstances.
could have done is the girl who counts heads or whatever could have handed out passports and tickets, and the kid who was playing around with yo-yos in the
Yeah,
backpacks
there
and
was,
stuff
like, a neighbor
could have
that
just
was
grabbed
there.
it and maybe put it in that bag or something.
I
He could
had
have been like,
forgotten
"Oh, what's this?" And then you just put it in the bag when he puts stuff away. There's a way they could have gotten rid of it without it going in the trash.
I forgot about that scene. So yeah, let's explain that. So when the
Hot cousin.
hot cousin, further back, when the vans are coming to pick up the family to go to the airport,
Yep.
there's this neighborhood kid that's like over there and just like making small talk and
Yep.
being kind of like annoying as
What's
kids
the
are
transmission
sometimes.
on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking in my head, like, what is the purpose of this kid? And it's when all the kids comes out. That's the
Yep.
oldest daughter, Heather, not daughter, the oldest niece,
Yep.
who's going to see her family
In
in
France.
We already established this. She's told to do a head count. And so she does a head count, and
She
she
touches
sees
all
his
their
head,
heads.
and it's just the neighborhood kid, and he looks an awful lot like Kevin.
Same size. They're probably best friends.
Yeah, so that's a big misstep. And so I think a lot of people, I think we said would maybe point to that as being the reason, but you're saying, no, it's not her fault? You're
It's
saying
not her
maybe
fault.
not her fault?
Because-
Because
okay.
she's not his mom?
No, here's
Or
the
dad.
deal. She is gonna be the primary person they blame for the rest of their lives.
Not
she is-
themselves?
No, they won't blame themselves because what they'll say is, okay, the electricity went out. Kevin was upstairs. We were all yelling around like, how did you not hear that, Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the mom and dad maybe will blame themselves, but the majority of them will then blame her, cousin, hot cousin. They'll say,
Heather.
hot cousin, Heather Hottie, why did you counted them and you said 11 kids, 6 boys, 5 girls, or whatever she breaks down the demographics, and then this many parents. They'll be like, you told us that. What happened with that head count? And she's like, I swear I counted 11. And nobody will believe her. They'll always say, no, you're a liar. You only counted 10. You just got confused. Buzz was being a dick to you and trying to trip up your numbers. That's probably what happened. And no one will ever believe her when she says, I swear to the Lord I
I know
counted
what I did.
11.
She's right. She was right. She did.
But nobody will ever believe her. And that kid will never come out and be like, oh, yeah, I was playing around with a fan. You counted me.
Yeah.
So it'll forever be this mystery. And everyone will always be like, yeah, well, if Heather knew how to count. and in her head, she'll always know, like, I think I did the right thing. And Heather, I'm here to tell you, you're hot and you did. I don't even remember if she's that hot. I just am like really laying into
No,
this.
she's literally just the oldest one in the film that you could even.
So we agree she's the hottest.
So she's the hottest. So that works.
I have
else?
another thing.
Yeah.
This movie plays on the trope that furnaces are scary, which is
Ugh.
another thing that a
Yeah.
lot of movies play on, like horror movies do.
Yeah.
There's a Nightmare on Elm Street. I think the second one really plays on this, like, furnace is scary.
Sure.
Were you ever afraid of your furnace?
My furnace specifically, no, but the room where my furnace was, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a really big furnace at our old house. I think it was
Yeah.
actually called like an octopus furnace, if that
Oh,
makes sense. Like
cool.
it's really old and
Yeah.
it has lots of tendrils.
Yeah, probably
So,
has a lot of ducks coming out of it
sounds-
rather than just one duck that then splits.
Yeah, it's very
like,
scary. You know, and it's warm and it makes noises and it kind of clicks on unexpectedly if you're not. So I could see, I get that. It's
Okay.
not coal burning like this one was,
Yeah.
or it didn't have
It's like a
mean,
wood-burning
scary
furnace.
eyes.
I was never afraid of our furnace.
Yeah, but your house, you grew up in like a house in like the 80s or 90s.
But listen to
It's a nice
this.
house.
Our house in the 80s, which is bonkers, nobody died in it, is haunted. My brother and I both have stories about the basement is haunted.
In your house.
Yes.
You feel that strongly
I
about
have. I've had moments with things down there.
Mhm.
I've had cold spots. I've had moments where
That's
no,
basements.
I've had moments where it felt like I had pressure on me, like either like somebody was holding me. I always have stated it this way. The spirit that is down in our basement is not malicious.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have it just doesn't want you to leave. It's lonely. It's a lonely spirit that
Yeah.
wants you to stay.
Wow.
That's what I've always felt from it.
It's got to be specific to you, though, because I've never felt anything want me to stay
It's
down
happened
there.
to Trev and it's happened to me. It's never
Mhm.
happened to my parents. It's never happened to you.
Yeah, so...
But the basement in general has scared me throughout my history.
Has an energy.
And I remember in grade school having moments where I had to conquer being down there in the dark. And I would shut off the lights and I'd slowly walk up the steps. That's how I like kind of conquered this fear of the dark of the
You
basement.
did this on yourself, or were you dared to do this?
I did this to myself.
What?
I had heard a
You did this?
Yeah, a teacher, I think it was in 3rd grade, said, "Who's afraid of the dark?" And
Me.
and you know,
Everyone.
some people
Every
raised their
normal
hands
kid.
and like, and who's afraid of their basements? And I remember raising my hand on both, and they're like, "Oh, some of you are afraid of both. Next time, here's what you should do. You should turn off your lights and walk slowly up the steps, and it will help you conquer your fear." And so I did it, and it worked.
Did it work?
It actually helped a lot.
That's great.
But the basement's still haunted, and I still had things happen to me after the fact. But the furnace is in a different room, and the furnace going into that room has never been scary. I've never had anything happen in that room.
Okay.
And so the whole furnace thing never has gotten to me.
Yeah.
So I've never understood it.
I get that. The whole, like, walking up your steps, though, in the dark is... That's you gotta know, that's a universal scary thing. Everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, they make TikToks
'Cause
about that now.
I used to run up the steps.
Everybody does.
Yep.
You're not the only one. Everyone runs up their steps. When you turn the lights on off in the basement, you got to get upstairs to walk up slowly.
Yeah.
Like you got to be king somebody because like everyone's like, I'm gonna walk a little bit faster
Well,
just in case someone's chasing me.
And the one thing that you do as friends, because we were all afraid of being in the dark in the basement, because it get really dark down
yeah,
there.
you don't have windows.
And so what you do is you'd run up before your friends got there and you'd shut off the lights.
Oh.
And so then you knew they were going to be in the dark down there and have to run up. It was like a prank.
More pranks.
More pranks. Classic.
Classics. Do you have any favorite quotes from this?
Look what you did, you little jerk.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's what
we
I
already
mean.
did the filthy animal.
Yep. I love Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
That's a classic. That's
So
such a
good.
classic. That
So
poor little girl.
good.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
I talked about the French trip. Oh, Macaulay has an acting problem. One of the things he's the cutest kid ever.
Yeah.
One of the things he does is he reacts to things before they happen.
Oh, does
He has several moments where something will happen and he'll like go and like be just like stupefied by it.
Yeah.
And he'll do it before the action happens.
Okay.
So here's a good example for you. Next
Yeah.
time you're watching the candy shop scene or where he's buying the toothbrush
Yes.
scene, the scary old man comes in and he puts his hand down on the table.
Sure.
Macaulay Culkin goes, oh, and then he slams his hand down. He beats the action. And he
Got
does
it.
it a couple times throughout the movie.
Sure.
So next time you're looking, look
Yeah.
for these.
And that's definitely a lot of people. Would you say a lot of people do that?
Yeah,
like
for
especially
sure.
like kids and stuff. We think like, I know you know what's coming next, but remember, you have to pretend like you don't know what's happening yet.
Here's another thing I have. He calls the cops for his neighbor, which you explained this part, which I've never really completely understood.
I know we're learning all kinds of things today.
He calls the cops and tells them that there's burglars in his house, but not in his house,
Yeah.
in the house that he's going to end up because he's
Yeah.
got the whole master plan.
Yeah. Yeah, so that the cops will get him over there. And I think it's twofold. It's so that obviously the cops catch the wet bandits
Uh-huh.
at the designated spot. But also, I think it's so that he can continue to live home alone because, again, remember, he truly believes that he wished his family away.
Yep.
So he knows, the savvy 8-year-old knows that, hey, if the cops find out that I'm home alone, I'm going to get taken away.
For sure.
I can't
Yeah.
live here anymore.
Yep.
So it's also to say,
It's
like,
the day before Christmas. He wants to wake up in his own house for Christmas.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have, even as a kid, I didn't have the foresight to think, like, why would he call it there? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't he just like, hey, people are breaking into my house right now. Come over here.
Yep.
Like, no, you have to wait.
Uh-huh.
You have to wait
I've
and
got a
lure
plan.
them away.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
And he almost gets tripped up at one point where he is able to get the tarantula on Marv. Like, Marv's got a hold of him.
yeah.
And he was almost doomed.
Yeah, thank
And
goodness.
what were those burglars going to do to him? Were they going to beat him up?
Yeah.
Are they weren't going to kill him.
No.
They weren't those kinds of guys.
I don't think so. I don't think they had it in him to murder him.
Yeah, do you think they were gonna, like-
Maybe Harry Lime, but not Marv.
I think Harry was going to, like, hurt him a little bit, bite his fingers really hard.
I mean, but after all that,
And then they were
like,
going to tie him up and probably leave him on a hook and just be like, good luck, kid, and walk out.
Yeah, it's hard. But then he can describe them.
Yeah.
So it's hard. But then again, I don't know if they have it in them to be more
I
than
don't think
burglars.
I don't think they had it in them.
Yeah. I like to think they didn't have it in them. I like to keep my cat burglars, just the burglar type.
So he calls back to the cops, though.
Yeah.
He calls the cops. I marked it. It was at 7:12 our time.
Okay.
The cop,
Relevancy.
the cops get there at
Oh.
7:17. So it's been
Okay.
5 full minutes before
Oof.
a cop could get over there.
Yeah.
Which is possible in Chicago.
We're in the
But there's
burbs.
also, here's the problem. There's also a time jump. So after the shovel guy hits the guys in the heads,
Yeah.
there's enough time that then it skips ahead where the shovel guy's now gone and Macaulay's in his own house hanging out and he looks out the window and the cops pull up to that other house.
Yeah.
So there's another time
Isn't it
skip.
tight? So
So
it's
it's
a
been
couple
more
minutes?
than 5 minutes. I think we
Yeah.
have to at least give it 7 to 8 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And we're getting into dicey territory where I'm like, cops, are you doing your job? Somebody's burglaring. This little boy called in a burglary.
well, to be fair,
What are you
he
doing?
did disguise his voice.
Oh, that's true.
He did make himself sound like an adult.
in my house. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. If it was
Is
just a
it?
kid, they would have made it in 3 minutes. But because it was a guy, they're like, I'll be able to fend him off for another 5.
We'll be there soon.
How mad would you be if you worked so hard to get home like the mom does? And you get home literally minutes before your family who just flew in.
I know.
How pissed would you be? I'd be furious. I'd be like, do you know what I just endured to get here? I flew from one place to another, had to ride with a polka band in the back of their truck for however many hours to finally get home and literally to get here 5 minutes before you guys did.
I mean, yeah, but I think as a parent that you have to take that risk because she could have gotten on a standby faster and another standby quicker. So it was just the happenstance. But yeah, you would be annoyed with yourself. But then also, I think there's something to do too, like in a crisis like that. If I don't feel like I'm doing something right now, or if you said we can't do anything right now, we have to wait.
We just have to wait
it's
for a
like,
couple days.
I have to do something now though.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna start driving.
Yep.
Or start whatever. You
Now,
know?
with her going and the rest of the family's just hanging out in France, why is everybody so bored in France? She's got it taken care of. Mom's going. Let's hang out. We don't need to just eat shrimp and watch It's a Wonderful Life in French. Let's go to We're in freaking Paris. Let's
Yeah,
go hang.
Okay, again, this comes
Crepes,
back to,
baby, crepes.
I think this family is a little jaded. They're probably weren't gonna have that crazy of a time in Paris anyways. Like, what's Buzz gonna do in Paris? Like,
I don't
what,
know.
You think he's excited to go look at art?
French chicks don't shave their pits, so he probably wasn't super excited.
That's what.
And
his
he's got a
questions
girlfriend.
were.
He really shouldn't even be thinking about French girls. He's got a wolfy girlfriend to get home to.
I think it's supposed to hint at the warmness. Like, as much as that family like bickers and they're like awful to each other kind of in the beginning.
Yep.
It's like, but we're a family and it's Christmas Eve and like mom's not here, our brother's not here. Like, this feels weird. Like, we're not. So I think they're a little sad about it, even though they know I don't think the kids are really worried about Kevin. They think he's probably fine.
Yeah, Buzz makes a really good diatribe about why he's not concerned about Kevin.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they try, but I think that's the turnaround. The turning point is that they can't bring themselves to go do fun stuff because they actually do love their stupid little brother.
Oh, okay.
I think that's...
Is that how you guys feel about Zach?
Yeah, I do love my stupid little brother.
You're like, gosh, he's an idiot, but we love him.
No, I'd be all over France. If Zach stayed home, I'd be like, he's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go to France, people.
Let's do it. Crepes, baby. Crepes.
Just kidding.
He has a moment at the very end of the movie, Kevin does, where it's like he sees the snow shoveler outside, even though he's on the other side of the house. He's like, what's that? And he like slowly walks towards the window from literally the front door. So he like walks through like a 20-foot room.
Sure.
And then he finally sees outside the window where it's snowing pretty heavily and he can kind of just barely see.
It's potato flaking very hard.
It's potato flaking very hard. And he sees old snowman and he's like, oh yeah. He didn't see him from across the room.
I don't know. That's movie magic, baby. We don't, who knows?
He's a short stack too. There's no way he can't even see over the banister. But anyways, those are all my things.
Oh, very good.
We hit them all.
Very good. What else can we talk about? The house itself is an Airbnb, or was for a short time. It was an Airbnb.
We talked about how cool would it be to stay there.
That would have been awesome. I think it must have been like something you could win, because it talked about it being $25 to do this overnight stay.
Oh, that would be crazy.
And so I think it was something where,
at
least. I think it was something more of like where you could enter to win, and then 4 of you could do that, and then it would be something kind of fun and special with like, because they talked about having booby traps that you could help set and things. So it's a very like curated, like almost like an escape room, an experience piece. And I want to say even like Buzz, the actor, was there to like introduce it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it sounds like it was something to win. This was like last year.
How cool would it be? You set up all these like gimmicky things. They're like, hey, here's all the things that you can set up for booby traps. And then in the middle of your stay at 9:00, though, like wet bandit impersonators come in, and then they fall on all of your tricks, and you just get to watch as they like perform and like they do this thing, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get you next time."
Yeah, this is so much.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be so fun. That'd be a lot of money.
Yeah,
for just 4 people in the audience. Can you imagine being the actors who play the wet bandits to do that over and over again for 4 people?
Just once a night.
Yeah,
but 4. Can you imagine being the people who are like, that was awesome.
That's true.
Did you know you can rent the Christmas Story house?
Oh, I thought you told me that.
That's an Airbnb.
Maybe.
You can stay. I mean, they do tours. That's what I went on was the tour. But then you can also stay the night there. Oh. And I think I want to say it's like $400.
Yeah, I would rather.
Which isn't crazy.
That's not really crazy.
If you really love Christmas Story, spend the $500-$400 to stay there. That sounds good.
Yeah, for like a night.
I think it gets
maybe?
It gets really expensive right around Christmas.
Sure.
I think he told us it's like $1,500 on Christmas Eve.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In 2012, the house sold for $1.5 million.
Okay.
Which actually doesn't. I mean, it's 2012, but that doesn't sound like very much, right? For one that it's like a piece of like. That's a national treasure.
Housing market was down then.
Okay.
When we bought Old Shock, that was like around that time.
I would be so curious to. This has got to be like maybe up to 3.
2014, I think.
Don't you think? Just the size of it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, $3 million, Chicagoland. Come on. Okay.
Yep.
Anyways, I digress about the house.
It's
not middle class.
The suburb. You mentioned the suburb, but we didn't know it.
Yeah, Winnetka.
I wonder how close it is. Like where it is in relation to the city.
I would venture from the map. It looked like it was about a 30-minute commute.
Okay.
I would say 20, 30-minute commute from Chicago.
So like Evanston would have been farther, going from Chicago to Evanston.
I don't no one quote me on this. Chicago listeners,
Chicagolanders
apologies.
are gonna be like,
I
you
don't
guys
know.
are idiots.
I don't know.
How would you like it if I
was?
was like, oh, it's Eden Prairie to Chaska, like the same. Like,
You're right. I would hate it.
yeah, I'm like, you guys are dumb.
The composer for this, let's talk about the music, because
Beautiful
there
music.
is a piece of it
I love
that
it.
the music, I think, ended up making the film also what it was. That's, I mean, Hughes and Chris also talk about that being a thing where they got the first cut of it and they had some music with it, and it was like, oh, this isn't good. Like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah,
I love
it's
how
really
it
fun.
begins.
Yep, me
With
too.
the little house
And
and the moon.
the house is so iconic.
Yeah, it
That-
is.
That whole
And it looks
logo
nothing
is so
like
good.
the house.
No, not at all.
That is a middle class house
That
that they
is.
show. That
Yep.
looks like our house. So what they did was, again, they just like floating the script everywhere just to like see. So in kind of a, a joking, dreamy way, they said like, well, let's have John Williams do it.
Oh yeah.
And when I say John Williams, do you know who that is?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, let me tell you for my listeners who maybe don't know, or maybe you want to share some of the things that you know that
That's
he's
okay.
done.
You just do your list.
Oh, I know. Do you know?
Star
No,
Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Star Wars, the composer of Star Wars, Jaws, Superman, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like, this is.
He
It's
was
like
the
saying,
Han-
like, oh, you like Hans Zimmer.
He was the
maybe.
Hans Zimmer of
Yeah.
the like 70s to 90s.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So in Just, they were like, well, just see. I think it was probably like a favor to a favor, and they just like floated it his way. Here's the script. Here's the cut so far, and he loved it. And he
Yep.
was like, yeah, I'll do it. I wish he was a John Williams. I wish he was like Swedish or something. I could make a funny dialect joke like I like to do, but he's
Like
just
Hans.
just John Williams.
Oh, Heather Cowboy.
So ended up making, I think, the film iconic. You've got the music, the illustration that you just talked about, instrumentation that you just did, but then also the song "Somewhere in My Memory."
How's that one go?
Somewhere in my memory.
I love that song.
It's a Christmas song. It's
There's-
a Christmas classic song.
Yeah, so he made that.
He wrote that
He just
song.
wrote. Okay, I thought.
Yeah. Did you think it was a real song?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Well,
like.
Of course.
I thought, oh yeah, Home Alone like repurposed this carol and like popularized it even more. Like I thought it was it was probably an 80s
Why
carol,
not?
70s carol, I don't know. And then yeah, there's a song they sing in the church too when the old man and Kevin are singing. It's not the one that ends that scene. It's not the one that starts that scene. There's one in the middle that I literally marked. Find this song for your Spotify Christmas list. It's really good, and I'm sure that's a classic Christmas song.
It's probably a classic. I
Yeah,
think
that
most
one
of
sounds
them
more
were,
like churchy.
Yeah,
Christmas
they were,
song.
I think, singing Holy Night for when they started. But yeah, that scene also is it's so beautiful, like the lighting, and it's just a magical scene. But the song and the score were both nominated for Academy Awards.
Good.
They did not win.
Oh.
Somewhere in My Memory,
Yep.
the song lost to a song from Dick Tracy.
Oh, is it the song that Madonna and,
Probably.
Yep. And what's his name?
I don't remember how it goes. Do you
Oh,
remember?
Yeah, I sang it for lessons.
You sang it for lessons?
I did. If we're talking about the same one. Yep.
I'm sure we are.
Yep.
You-
She sings a song in the middle
Sure.
of the piece.
You think about it a little bit, and you let us know if you want to share that with us.
Okay.
Best score also, they lost that. That went to Dances with Wolves.
Oh,
that
okay.
year. Just give you a little time hop. Don't feel bad though, because
Dances with Wolves.
What's the best score though? I don't know. Maybe the music's amazing. I don't remember.
It might be. It's been a while since I've seen
I
it.
was gonna
But
say, do you
that
remember the
movie
music?
is blah. Kevin Costner is blah.
At the time, I mean, it's a pretty classic movie. You're blind.
Blah.
But don't feel bad because they lost those pieces. They were nommed, or Macaulay Culkin was nommed for Best Actor for the Golden Globe.
Of
He
course
didn't
he
win.
was.
But the film did win Favorite Movie for the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah, it did.
Obviously.
Get it, kids. You know what to do.
For sure. Have you found the
I'm
song
not
yet?
able to find this Dick Tracy song.
That's okay. We don't need it.
Yeah, it's not important.
Franchise. Anything you want to talk about the Home Alones? Do you know how many there are? Do you want me to count for you?
Wait, what?
Do you want me to count them for you, or do you want to just guess?
How many Home Alones there are?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the 2 that are good.
Yeah, there's
We
2.
we
with
watched Home
Macaulay
Alone
Culkin.
3 in either 5th or 6th grade, and I remember all of us
97.
all of us were so disappointed. Like literally the whole class was just you could just tell it was like this is awful.
Yeah.
This is a total miss.
We knew then.
Yep.
It
And
was
then
done.
I'm assuming there's a couple more. Like Beethoven movies, I think they just keep coming.
Yeah, there's Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. That's in 2002.
Taking back the house.
Taking Back the House. Home Alone, The Holiday Heist in 2012.
Okay.
And Home Sweet Home Alone in 2021.
Okay.
I think that one was like a
so
little
there's
like,
3
TV
more on
special.
top then? So there's 6?
6, yep. We got 6 total Home Alone features.
Okay.
But only like 1 through 4 actually had the title or the numerical value. Otherwise, then we're just changing it up.
Okay.
Yep.
By the way, this song is called Sooner or Later, and it's what Madonna sings, but I don't remember it. I don't know.
Sooner or later, love is gonna get you. Sooner or later, love is gonna win. Probably that one. So good. This film almost got sued for plagiarism. John Hughes was like, "What? You're kidding me. I wrote it in 9 days. There's no way.
Everything is
This was an
original in my
idea."
mind.
Get the load of this story.
Oh, I love
1989
these. I love these moments.
French horror thriller film.
Yes.
3615 code Pierre Noël. 3615 maybe. It's an address, I believe.
Sure.
Is the name of the movie. Pierre Noël, which is about a young boy who is home alone with his elderly grandfather and has to fend off a home invader dressed as Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Well, it's French, so
Yeah.
I don't know how that goes.
They also like Santa Claus, I hear.
But yeah, they didn't really have enough to stand on. But they
Yeah,
made
I'll be
claims
honest.
like, "Hey, you stole this from us," and John
No,
Hughes
that
was like,
sounds like
"No."
Sounds like a home invasion movie. It doesn't sound like.
It's
I mean, I guess this is a home invasion movie. But
Wait, that Christmas theme?
yeah. He had a dad there.
Grandfather.
Grandfather.
Elderly grandfather.
Elderly grandfather.
It's the same. Shall we talk some money?
Yes.
All
I bet
right.
it made buckets full.
It made it by the buckets full. Budget.
15 million? 14.1?
Well, yeah, I
what you
said
said?
14, but I think it raised it a little bit because
Oh,
this
okay.
says budget 18 million, but that's an estimated. So I think there was some add-ons towards the end there.
Sure.
Opening U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It made that back 17 million. Opening week.
Okay. Opening week. It
Opening
made that
week.
back.
Opening weekend actually. U.S.
Wow.
17 million.
It opened. Do you have the number that it opened at?
Number 1.
Yeah, it was number 1.
I don't know.
Oh no.
I don't usually look that up.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm just assuming if it made 17 million, it probably opened up as number 1, right?
Yeah, very possible.
Wouldn't you assume that? I don't know. So Star Wars and E.T. are the only other movies at that time to make 100 million in their first year. So it joined the upper echelons of
Wow.
filmmaking. And this is a comedy, too. Star Wars and E.T. are,
Yeah.
dramas.
So it made 100
sci-fis,
mil.
whatever we want to call those. 100 million the first year.
Uh-huh.
Gross worldwide.
Yep.
It has made $476 million.
Can you imagine Warner Brothers? They're like, for $1.5 million, we could have made $400 million.
Right.
The execs are just gonna be
The
like,
dividends.
"God dang it!
Shooty patooties.
I hate you." Fox."
So it is the second highest grossing comedy of all time.
Okay.
I'm going to work my way back for
Wow.
you. Yeah. Comedy of all time.
Uh-huh.
Number 4 is The Hangover.
Okay.
Number 3, Meet the Fockers.
Uh-huh.
I said number 2 was this, Home Alone. And number 1, do you have a guess? I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be right. But guess what you think the top grossing comedy of all time is currently.
It's tough because, like, for me, I'd want to say, like, an Anchorman or something like that.
Sure.
But I know that wouldn't be because it'd be rated R and need to be PG-13, so
Sure,
it's wider.
for it to get. Well, think
wider
even
appeal.
lower. This needs to be PG. This one's PG.
PG.
Mm-hmm.
Baby's Day Out.
Nope. It is.
Look who's talking.
2022.
Oh.
Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, well, here's what we have to take with a grain of salt.
Sure.
ticket prices went up.
Yeah.
And so all these movies that you've listed are
Yeah.
significantly after Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Yeah,
adjusted
that's
for
true.
inflation, Home Alone still might be the highest grossing.
I don't know if it
Based
adjusted
on-
or not.
based
it might
on
have,
that.
And it might not have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made a butt ton of money, is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
But Robert Ebert gave it 2 thumbs down.
Oh, he did not like
He
it?
didn't like it. He gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Okay.
He said he compared the elaborate booby traps in the film to a Rube Goldberg machine. He
yeah,
said,
those are awesome.
yeah, he said writing like they're the kind of traps that an 8-year-old could devise
He
if
is an 8-year-old.
let me finish,
Oh, okay,
if he
sorry.
had a budget of tens of thousands of dollars and the assistance of a crew of movie special effects people.
See,
So
here's
he didn't think it was believable.
here's the thing. I have less of an argument about Kevin's resources and more of an argument about how much time he has to put the stuff together.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
we talked about it. So he goes to church and it's dark out. And then he comes home. So let's say it gets dark early in winter. So it's dark at 4:30. They're doing a winter rehearsal. It's not a performance or anything. So we'll say they're rehearsing from 5 to 6 before dinner. That's cool. He goes home. He's home by like 6. They're coming at 9. He's got 3 hours to put all of this together. He hasn't even started
He
yet.
doesn't even have ideas yet.
Yeah.
He just decides in that moment, I'm going to protect the
Here we
house.
go. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, he says
Yeah.
that. He says that he sits down for mac and cheese after doing that. I guess that was after.
Yeah, that's the 9 o'clock go
Rach
time.
was really perturbed that he did not eat a bite of his delicious-looking mac and
It
cheese.
still bothers me. He sits down for this delicious meal, and that was one of my favorite foods at that age, as it is with all children.
I think it's still
and
one
he
of your
doesn't even
favorite
take a
foods.
bite of it, and I just thought, oh my god, you don't even get a bite of it. Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah, so my whole thing is more of a hang up on he did that very quickly.
Yeah.
And that seemed a little fast for me.
A little fast for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Poland loves this film.
Okay.
The country, they show it every Christmas Eve on TV, on their public broadcasting. There was one year that they didn't show it, and 90,000 people protested about it on Facebook.
Okay.
So maybe not like what we think, but on Facebook, wrote in. So much so that the next year it came back, and it has in subsequent years, but the tagline for all the trailers for it getting to air is Christmas without him. It's almost impossible. That and Die Hard. They love Die Hard as well. And I think the thinking there is that those were some of the first movies from the Western world that they saw once the Iron Curtain was down with communism.
That makes a ton of
it's
sense.
like very much like, oh, wow, aren't those Americans having the best time ever? Like,
Yeah.
look at their amazing houses.
Uh-huh.
They're middle class. We could have that if
Yep.
we lived in America. Lies. Critics' consensus. Where do you want to go from here? Are you ready?
Yeah, critics' consensus. You want me to take a guess on what it would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm going to say it's 82%.
Okay. You are close to the audience score. Audience is 80%.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit lower. Let me read it to you.
Okay.
Home Alone, uneven but frequently funny premise, stretched unreasonably thin, is buoyed by Macaulay Culkin's cute performance and strong supporting stars. 66%.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just in case you were wondering, Home Alone 2 is a 35%.
Home Alone 2 is 35.
Home Alone 2 is 35%. Audience is 62.
Home Alone 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, well, they would say, Rotten Tomatoes would tell you, it's a change of venue, and more sentimentality and violence can obscure the fact that Home Alone 2 is less inspired facsimile of its predecessor. Is a less inspired facsimile of its predecessor.
Oh, okay.
Whoever wrote this is an idiot. Let's just put that out there. I can't even read it. It's so stupid.
I'm like, I didn't do a summary or a rating.
Oh, you weren't prepared?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about it. So I'm just like quickly looking at my rankings.
Just trying to be clever on the spot.
And I want to have the option in order to forego this rating in the future. Maybe it's not as sticky. Maybe it's not a sticky bandit yet. It's just a wet bandit. Okay. Yeah, let me think of a witty summary to go along with it too.
Yeah,
I can't believe I did a terrible
We'll
job on
just
this.
wait for
All
you
right.
to do that. Do you want me to tell you what I have, or is that going to sway you?
No, go ahead and tell me what you have.
So for me, I have this movie I have it at a 90%.
Okay.
I think it's a classic. It's so enjoyable. It brings me joy. I laughed like out loud last
Uh-huh.
night watching it. And it's like this movie, it's like he says, it's on like background noise every year.
Sure. Yep.
But
Yep.
like really sitting down and watching, I was like, I really enjoy it, and I thought the acting was great on all parts. I think Macaulay Culkin's a kid actor. There are pieces where it sounds like he's reading it, but he's 8, so we'll move on. But yeah, I laughed, and I even got like a little misty with the mom piece at the end. I don't know
Sure.
why. It just like hit me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this right above My Girl,
Okay.
and
Above My Girl.
just a point above My Girl.
Macaulay
and
Culkin films back to back
to
for
back, and then right below Killer Clowns.
you. Yes, Killer Clowns. Okay. All right. So, look what you did, you little jerk. You stole my heart, Macaulay. You're the cutest kid ever. And this movie's super enjoyable. You should go see it. I'll give you to the count of 10. 1, 2, 10. It's a 73% between Friday the 13th remake and Scarface.
Not bad. That was not bad on the spot. You had me there for a second, but you
Oh my
pulled it
gosh.
together.
Yep.
That was pretty good.
Okay, good.
When it's all said and done, I'm impressed.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, sweet.
So 73%, you said?
73%.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. I
Yeah.
won't put it up there with like Christmas classics, but like whenever it's on, it's not a sad thing to like just sit down and watch it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna rewatch Home Alone right now. It's super enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good nostalgia with this movie.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it yet, or you've just like kind of like half-fast watched it on TV, like a lot of us do, like turn it on and watch it again with a new pair
From
of
the
eyes.
start. From the start.
From the beginning. Look for the rubber feet. Look
Yep.
for the fake scream. Look for the stuntmen that are not Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoy it through a child's eyes. You know?
Lots of fun. Lots of
Yeah.
fun. And Merry Christmas, folks. We hope you have a
Yeah.
great holiday season, however you choose to celebrate it. We will return.
We are gonna come back at some point.
Yep.
Probably in the winter, because we go a little stir crazy.
I've got a couple things brewing right now.
Yeah.
I think I've got some stuff worked out that you
Yeah.
can look forward to a couple more adventures before the next season kicks off.
Yeah. Maybe some Valentine's Day movies. Is that what
Very
you're thinking?
possible.
I love
Very
it.
possible.
I'm excited. Yeah. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah,
See
woohoo.
you.
Little vocal test run.
You're not gonna drink tea when we're doing this, are you? Don't. Oh, gross.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
It's not the
I
first.
couldn't hear you over this.
Gross ASMR.
Yeah. People are into that.
Yeah, when they ask for it, not when it's a surprise.
Did I tell you that's my whole idea for my OnlyFans page is to only do sipping on drinks and then pictures of my toes.
Good. I'm glad you've got it figured out.
Yep.